So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to. So we are back with a brand new movie on what if Naruto tied Asuna and Forcely had private movement movie. But before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. 2 weeks later Naruto finally bought the game and can't wait to play it. He immediately went to his room, turned off all the lights, then put the nerve gear on his head. Then pressed the start button and said, "Link start." After doing some registration, he was sent to the city of beginning, where all the new players start. He look around and seeing there are a lot of new players as expect. Well, I am finally here. The feeling is just amazing, like in reality. I think I am gonna train myself to level up to a decent level first, said Naruto to himself, then find a field with the wild boars on it. When he went there he already see two person there. One is older than the other. The older had spiky red hair with beginning gear like him. The other has black hair, but he seems has more experience than the other, as he was teaching the other to use a sword. They immediately turn to him once they notice his presence. "Hey, you are new too, right?" asked the one with red hair. "Yeah. I was supposed to be a beta tester 2 weeks ago, but I overslept. So here I am," answered Naruto. The black hair one blinked in surprise, then said, "Oh, so you are the person that overslept that day, and I was chosen because of that. My name's is Kirito, by the way. And I am Klein. Nice to meet you," said the red hair person with a smirk and a thumbs up. "I am Naruto. Nice to meet you guys too," said Naruto. Then he joined the other two in killing the boars. After 10 minutes he level up. Then Kirito said he has some business to take care and leave them. Naruto also find grinding is bored, so he decide to do some quest. After he has done all the newbie quests he had level up to LV7. Time skip 2 days later Naruto has level up to LV10 after 2 days of grinding. Suddenly, he looked to the far left and see there is a strange cave that had never appeared before. Naruto decided to inspect it, so he began to move forward to the direction of the cave. In the cave, when he went in there, the cave was dark and empty. Feeling more curious, Naruto decides to went even further. So he picked up the torch on the side of the cave and went in. Suddenly, the land under him began to falling apart. Naruto widened his eyes trying to cling to the rock but can't. "Ah!" Naruto's scream was heard at the bottom of the cave. At the bottom of the cave, Naruto is trying to stand up after the fall and rubbing his head. "Ouch, that was painful. Thank God that I am in a game right now and not in reality," muttered Naruto, rubbing his head. Suddenly, he saw a light from far above. "There is someone living here, in a place like this?" said Naruto, surprised. With that he went to the direction of the light. When he came near it he saw that the light came from a house. Curious, Naruto went inside, then call out, "Is there anyone here?" shout Naruto. Suddenly, there was a sound of footsteps come from the room, then a person appeared. "Oh, I never expect anyone to be able to find this place. That just means you has the luck of devil, stranger," said the person that stand in front of Naruto now. "What do you mean? Why you said that being here is lucky?" asked Naruto, not understand. "It's simple. This place is a very rare place, that practically only 0.01% of players can find. This place is the place where I will teach you a new sword style, that is different from the other sword style in Sao," said the person. Then he take out a bottle of sake and begin to drink it. "New sword style? What is this style then? I knew in Sao there are swords, rapiers and axes," asked Naruto curiously. "Correct, I will teach you a sword style, but that just not any sword style. The style I will teach you is sheath sword style or Batujutsu. From this day you are my apprentice and a follower of Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. My name is Hiko Seijiro 13, by the way." "What's your name, my new apprentice?" asked Seijiro, looking at his new student. "I am Naruto. It will be my honor to be your apprentice, Seijiro-sensei," answered Naruto, smiling at Seijiro. Seijiro just smirked back at him, and so begin the rising legend of Batuse. Naruto has become the apprentice to Hiko Seijiro 13 in learning the lost sword art, Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. It has been 2 weeks since he had start to practice the sheath sword style. In this 2 weeks, Naruto has managed to learn the basic of Batujutsu and some move that is not a Batujutsu technique but still a part of Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. He manages to learn 3 moves and some variations of them. First is Ryutsusen. It's a move that requires to be higher than your opponent than the momentum of the fall to strengthen the two-handed sword swung that brings the blade on your opponent's head or shoulder. Its variation Ryutsusen. Zan. The beginning in the same way as Ryutsusen, the user positions if the sword is to initiate a downward stab to the head instead of a downward swing. Ryukansen. Most often used as a counterattack against a thrust or charge, one sidesteps a forward-moving opponent and moves past them. In doing so, one spins in a full circle, adding momentum and centrifugal force to strength the sword swing, which is then aimed at either opponent's back or the back of the neck. Its variations. Ryukansen. Sumuji. This move is a direct attack rather than a counter, and involves a more forward direction of spinning, such as a drilling motion like torpedo. Ryukansen. Kogarashi. Involves a simple backhanded slash from a single turn to blast the foe away. Unlike the original move, it is not a full circling spin, and is meant to be a quick and possibly situational strike. Ryukansen. Arashi. It's a variation of a normal Ryukansen. This technique places the user in a full rolling somersault slash while attacking. And the last is Ryushozen. Its move that is meant to be the rising attack to strike the jaw from below. For additional power, the user uses one's free arm to apply to the back of the blade and utilize a powerful upward jump during attack. Naruto is practicing the move again at the back of the garden. Suddenly, Hiko Seijiro come from the house and said, "I think that's enough for today. Also, when do you plan to leave this place? To learn the rest of the style you need to level up." "Well, I will plan to go to the city of beginning today evening, sensei," said Naruto, walking up to Seijiro. "Okay. Then when you reach LV45 come back. Here, this is a special teleport crystal that will allow only you to appear here," said Seijiro. Then he take out a purple crystal and give it to Naruto. "I thank you once again for teaching me this lost style," said Naruto, bowing down. "I teach this style to you cause you are the only one managed to come here," said Seijiro, waving his hand dismissively and take a sip of the sake bottle that in his hand. "Still, I am grateful to you," said Naruto. Look up at Seijiro. "Whatever. Just promise me to become number one in this world, that will be enough repayment," said Seijiro with a smirk. "Then I promise you will become number one so that nobody can defeat me," said Naruto, bringing a fist up. "Well, you better go then. Thanks you once again, sensei." With that said, Naruto use a crystal and teleport to the City of Beginning. At the square of City of Beginning, Naruto has just appeared in the square of the City of Beginnings. He looks around and notice all players have gathered there. The players just ask each other what is going, why they suddenly appeared there. Suddenly, the sky darkened and a red panel appeared with a huge red writings. One person noticed and shout to look there, and everybody turned their attention to the red panel. "Warning," muttered Naruto, narrowing his eyes. Suddenly, a red smoke come out from the panel and formed a huge floating figure in a long cloak that hiding his face. "Attention players. Welcome to my world. My name is Kayaba Akihiko, the creator of SAO. As of this moment I am the one that will control this world," said the cloak figure. The players began to panic and try to log out, but when they opened the menu, the log out button has disappeared. I am sure you all have noticed now that the log out button has disappeared from the main menu. But this is not an error. It's a part of SAO, continued Kayaba. Naruto just widened his eyes at hearing that. Just as he was about to ask what happened if the outside people were to remove the nerve gear, Kayaba has continued. If the outsider attempt to remove the nerve gear, then the transmitter in nerve gear will automatically emit a powerful microwaves that will fry you brains. Some players began to panic and attempt to leave the square, but they couldn't, as the invisible barrier has trapped them in. Also, if your health points reach 0, then you will not be resurrected, but you will die for real, in the real life. The only way to escape is to clear the game, means to defeat all 100 bosses. Then after the defeat of the final boss you will all be released. As a present I want to give one thing. Please everybody now open your inventories. Everybody did just as he said. When they look in the inventory, there is a mirror there. They took out the mirror and look at it. Immediately everybody's image began to change, except Naruto, as he based the avatar on himself. Some girls were turned into guys. Then they look at each other disgustingly. You all may be wondered. Why, Kayaba Akihiko, the creator of SAO, did this? It's simple, because I've created this world and now I am on control of it. Good luck, players. After saying that, he disappears. Then the chaos begin, as all players ask each other what they should do from now. Naruto leaves the square silently, the bang covering his eyes. He slowly moves to the location of the forest. Wolf's Field. When Naruto arrives in the field, the pack of wolves begin to surround him. He just grip the handle of a katana, stand in a basic Batujutsu stance, then charge forward at the same time unsheathing the katana. The slash was so fast that Wolf could react in time, dodge, and was cut in half. Naruto look up at the pack of wolves with an icy glaze and charge forward, cut them all down in seconds. Not far from him, Kirito has watched as Naruto decapitated the pack of wolves in mere seconds. What's that style? I have never seen any move that fast before, muttered Kirito watching as Naruto destroyed the rest of the pack. That bastard Kayaba Akihiko dared to do such a thing as trap all the players in a death game. When I meet him next time I swear I cut him down in half, yelled Naruto frustrated. At that time, Kirito decided to approach him. Hey, you are Naruto, right? What is the sword style that you are using? I have never seen anyone use that style before, said Kirito as he now standing in front of Naruto. Naruto looked at him closely to inspect with narrow eyes, then opened them and point his finger at Kirito. You are Kirito, right? Asked Naruto. Kirito just nodded his head. You are curious about my sword style? Well, it's a lost art of sword, no wonder you haven't heard of it. The master that teach me this style said that only 0.01% of player can learn this style by entering a mysterious cave, but the appearance time of the cave is so rare that practically no players can find it. This sword style is called a sheath sword style or Batujutsu, answered Naruto. Whoa! Then you must have the luck of a devil to find that cave, exclaimed Kirito with wide eyes. Well, guess I did have the luck of devil, said Naruto grinning while scratching the back of his head. Then Naruto turned to Kirito and asked. Nay, Kirito, if you're the beta tester then you knew which mini-boss to kill to get a good weapons, right? Well, I know some place. Did you need to get a new weapon? Answered Kirito, then look at Naruto and ask. Yeah, this beginner katana is not fit of my style at all, said Naruto looking displeased at his weapon. Well, not far from here there is White Fang, the boss of this forest. By killing him you have a chance to get the Harusame. But its drop rates is pretty low. Though knowing you luck you probably can get it, said Kirito after thinking for a while. Oh, thank you, then I will head to here now, said Naruto. Then just as he was about to leave, Kirito called out to him. I will go with you. That boss is pretty tough for a mini-boss after all. Thanks for the help then. With that the two of them go to the location of White Fang. Scene change. When Naruto and Kirito has arrived at the location they see a huge white wolf standing in front of them. So this is White Fang? Pretty impressive, muttered Naruto looking up at the huge wolf. Yeah. Well, let's do it, said Kirito. Yeah. With that the two began to charge at White Fang. White Fang noticed that there are intruders in his territory, decide to command his minions to attack them. Kirito uses slant and vertical to kill off the minions, while Naruto is in Batujutsu stance, then charge forward slash the minions in a flash. After a while, all minions were destroyed. White Fang decide to act and charge at them. Naruto seeing that decide to try out his new moves. Waiting for White Fang to charge at him, Naruto jumped past him then start to spin. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryukansen. The attack has cut down the back of White Fang. White Fang roar in pain as it's lost 2/5 HP. Kirito looks in awe, then decide to act. He charge forward then using horizontal to cut the White Fang's chest. Then use uppercut, cause White Fang to fall on its back. It only have 4/5 HP. Naruto. Don't go near him now. He is preparing to use Fury Claw now, warned Kirito. Just as that was said, White Fang's claw began to glow red. Then he clawed the air and the traces of the claw flew into Naruto and Kirito. Kirito decide to hide behind the tree. But Naruto uses the branch to jump high in the air. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryutsusen. Zan. With that he stabbed the White Fang in the head, killing it. Kirito go to him to congratulate him. Well done, you have managed to defeat him. You helped me as well, do thank you. Now let's see what I get. Naruto opens the inventory and see that he got two rare items. First is the Harusame blade. The second is the Star Deity cloak. How Asakura cloak in dark blue color and the star at the back. Then he equipped those two items in him. Man, you luck really is the luck of devil. You managed to get both the Harusame and the Star Deity cloak, said Kirito in jealousy. Naruto Judy smirking and show the victory sign. After that they decide to return to the town. At the town, there are several players gathered to discuss a strategy to defeat the first main boss. Naruto and Kirito decide to go near to listen what they have to say. The blue-haired man with a decent gear decide to start the speech. Alright, let's start the meeting. Thank everyone who decide to come here today. My name is Diabel. I like to consider my job as a knight. At that the people at the meeting begin to laugh a bit. Then the laugh died down and Diabel continue. Today, our party has found an entrance to the main boss room at the top of this tower. At this the atmosphere began to become heavier and more serious. Naruto just listening in silence with his arms crossed. We need to defeat the boss to prove to everyone in the City of Beginnings that this game can be cleared. We need to show the people that there is still hope in escaping this death game, said Diabell, trying to convince the players here. At this everyone began to murmur to themselves, then they all nod their heads in agreement. One person began to clap, then the other, after that everybody began to clap. With this, Diabell told everyone to split into groups and parties, making it easier to fight during boss battle. The people begin to party up. Then he feel a tap on his shoulder and turn to see that is Kirito. Naruto, let's party with me. Only we two have left after all. Also add me to your friend list before I forget, said Kirito. Naruto looks behind them and see there is one more person in a cloak is sitting quietly behind them. I think I just find our third member, but first invite me to the party. Kirito just send an invite to Naruto. Then he accepted. Naruto and Kirito walk to the cloak person, then Naruto ask. You don't have a party, right? Then just join us. The cloak person just nod. Then Kirito send an invite and the person accept. Naruto and Kirito look at the name and read. Asuna. That's the girl's name, muttered Kirito. So how will be in the party benefiting the boss battle? That dude didn't explain anything, asked Naruto. Well, the party is helpful in switching, answered Kirito. Naruto just put out the rulebook and began to read about switching. Then he heard a shout in the place of the meeting. Hold on just a second. My name is Kibao and I want to say some things before we engage the boss. Some of you need to apologize to the 2,000 of the players that have died so far. Naruto and Kirito just widened their eyes at hearing that information. Are you referring to the beta testers, Kibao-san? Asked Diabell. Of course, I am. On the day this game has started, the beta testers ditched us the beginners and took all the good hunting spots and special quests, so that only they could get stronger, while leaves us the beginners behind. So I demand that all beta testers share all their monies and items with us, said Kibao. Then he looked at Naruto in Star Deity Cloak and Harusame Blade. I am sure someone like him is a beta tester. So I demand that he share all the monies and rare items that he have. Everybody began to look at Naruto. Suddenly, the temperature has dropped, as they all feel a chill in their spine. Naruto just looked at Kibao with a gaze as cold as ice and said. You said I am a beta tester? Do you have any proofs? Or you just guess by looking at my gears? If you can't prove that I am a beta tester, then shut your trap before I cut you to pieces on the arena. Then he looked around at everybody that looked at him. Does anyone want to say something to me? You are welcome to try, but I won't give you shit. You said that 2,000 players had died. Are sure that they were all beginners and newbies? Are you sure that there weren't beta testers died from those 2,000 players? Asked Naruto. Looked down at Kibao from his stairs above. Then he brought down the guidebook from the inventory and said to Kibao. In this guidebook is every information need for beginners from sword skills to grinding fields. And sure the beta testers are the one that create this guidebook for beginners, in helping them become stronger like any beta tester. So don't you dare blaming the beta testers for what they didn't do, you bastard. With that said, Naruto turned to leave the meeting. The murmurs begun, as they asking themselves wherever that was true or not. Kibao just glared hardly at Naruto's back, but he suddenly remembered the icy gaze just minutes ago, decided to look aside. Kirito and the cloak person seeing Naruto leave decide to catch up to him. Nighttime, the music was playing and players were eating and drinking heartily. They were getting prepared for the boss battle that will happening in the morning. Kirito and Asuna left to find something to eat. Naruto currently walking in the street. Then suddenly, his stomach began to make a hungry sound. He look at his money in the menu and see that he only have a little bit. It's not enough to buy anything, so he look around and see a casino not far from where he stand. He decide to go in. With his luck, Naruto has win enough money to last a month. So he finds a ramen bar and orders some food. Suddenly, he feels a tap on his shoulder. He turn and see who it is. It was a huge bald dark-skinned man with an axe latches at his back. Naruto decide to ask him what he want. May I help you? No, not really. My name is Agile. I just want to say I want to thank you for the eye-opening speech. The other players didn't know how much the beta testers were helping and contribute in complete the game. Naruto just turned to his ramen that was brought to him, then answered. It's nothing really. That cactus head dared to accuse as a beta tester without a proof. Also he didn't know where his place is, so I just helped him to find it. With that said, Naruto began to eat his ramen. Still for not a beta tester, You have dared to provoke everyone. Are you that brave or foolish, or you have something that make you so confident in your skill? Asked Agile and looked from the corner of his eyes. Naruto just finished his bowl of ramen and prepared to leave the stand. Before leaving he looks at Agile from the corner of his eyes, turn his head to back a little. When the time come you will see it. With that said, Naruto left the stand. Agile just look at his back curiously. With Kirito and Asuna, Kirito is currently crying for his wallet, as he brought Asuna to a bakery and said she could buy anything she want. He felt sorry for her when he saw he eating stale food last night. That must taste good, said Kirito sarcastically while sitting down next to her. She took another bite, but has trouble in swallowing it. After she swallowed it she answered. I didn't join this game to eat good food. I see. Here, eat with this, said Kirito, as he brought the cream from his inventory. What is this? A cream. Reward from the quest. Eating with this should make the food bearable now, said Kirito, placed it on the bread and spread it. Then give to Asuna. Asuna try an experimental bite. And find that it was too delicious, so she finished it in the blink of an eye. Kirito just smiled softly at her. Then Naruto decided to appear. Where have you been? Asked Kirito. Eating ramen just now, answered Naruto. Kirito has a tick mark on his head, as when he and Asuna must eat plain bread. Naruto has the luxurious to eat ramen. Oh, where did you get the money? I thought you had spent all your money on new equipment? Yes, that's true. However, as I had the luck of devil, I went to the casino and win the money that will be enough to last for a month, said Naruto smirking, then show the victory sign. Curse your luck. Time skip. 6 a.m. in the forest, Naruto, Kirito and Asuna decide to practicing the switching. Naruto used Batujutsu and cut down the monster in a flash, then switching with Kirito. Kirito cut down the monsters with nearly equal speed, then switch with Asuna. Asuna used her rapier to destroy the monsters in a blink of an eye. The other players that was present at the same field just looked gobs macking, as the trio took down the monsters at ridiculous speed, not leaving them anything. Time skip. 9 a.m. With the help of the switching, Naruto has level up to 15. He and the party is currently waiting for the others at the square. When everybody has gathered, they began to move to the direction of the boss room. When they have arrived, Diabell yells, "Let's go!" After that they opens the gate of the boss room. Everyone rushed into the room, preparing for battle. The group has split in 3 factions: attackers, defenders and tanks. And there are 7 groups out there. Group G consists of Naruto, Kirito and Asuna. They were one of the 3 groups of attackers. They are waiting patiently for the waiting of the boss. Suddenly, the room became bright. The clearing party was in a huge hall. Some minions has appeared with different kind of weapons. Then suddenly, they heard a roar at the end of the room. They turned to look at the direction of the roar, and was horrified as the Ilfang, the Kobold Lord, has made its presence known. Then more sentinels appeared around the boss to engage the clearing party. Naruto just look at the sentinels and charge forward, before anyone can say anything. Wait, Naruto, yelled Kirito, as he watching Naruto charge forward. Then he and Asuna rush forward following Naruto. Naruto just running at great speed to the sentinels, his hand in Batujutsu position. When he is near them he immediately unsheathing the sword and cut down the sentinel in a flash. Then another, then one more. By the time Kirito and Asuna had arrived, they have seen that all the sentinels were decapitated. The other parties fighting the minions just look at what happened with wide eyes. Even Diabell was surprised. How can he defeat the sentinels so quick? Also that sword style. I have never seen anyone use that style before, muttered Diabell. Ilfang looks at Naruto and decides that he is the most dangerous threat, so he ordered all the minions to focus the attack on Naruto's group. Just as Diabell was to order the group F to assist them. Kirito and Asuna charged forward to destroy them. Then only Ilfang was left. He immediately charged at Naruto. Kirito seeing that tries to warn Naruto, but the boss was pretty quick. Naruto feels the boss presence at the back, turn around and sidestep him, then began to spin. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryukansen. With that the strike has slashed the back of Ilfang, cause him to roar in pain. The other seeing the boss is in pain decide to charge forward to assist Naruto. In no time, the boss HP dropped to the last bar. Don't surround the boss, warned Diabell. Ilfang decide to use his area range effect to stun the 6 players that surround him. Then he swung the glowing blade at the 6 of them to send them crashing at the walls. All of them has hit the red health zone, 1 hit and they are finished. Get back, ordered Diabell. Then he turned to the support party and said, quick, Give them potions now. The support party immediately give them potions and ran to the back. After that their health has returned to normal. Naruto is dodging the attack of Ilfang, as the boss target mainly him. Kirito see that Naruto is panting heavily decide to take over. Switch with me Naruto. Naruto did as he was told and fall to his knees panting heavily. The boss is now down to half of the last bar. Diabell seeing that decide to charge at the boss to gain the last attack. Suddenly, the boss brought out a new weapon. Kirito and Naruto widened their eyes, as that was not the weapon they expected. It's not a tall war, but an odashi, said Kirito. Get back here. That's not the weapon we expected, yelled Naruto at Diabell. Diabell just looked back at his group and smirked. That fool. He thinks we are preventing him to gain the LA, yelled Kirito frustrated. Diabell charged at the boss with his best sword skill and tend to gain the last hit. Ilfang looks down and smirk, then he activates his skill and jumps to the ceiling, then bounces to the walls and rushing at Diabell cut him off guard. Diabell suddenly stopped at midair in surprise. His skill has faded. Ilfang used the chance to slash at him, then swing the Nodashi sending Diabell to the ceiling. Diabell lost to the gravity and crashing downwards. Naruto and Kirito rushes to him to give him potions. But Diabell had refused. It's too late for me. The potions can't help me heal from the damage deals by the boss. It's only a few seconds before I disappear. Then he turned to look at Kirito and said, "You're a beta tester too, right?" Kirito just widened his eyes. "So you must know what I intend to do. Finish what I couldn't, and led these people to defeat the boss and end this nightmare." Then he turned to Naruto. "You are a very special player to achieve a sword style that has never seen before. I believe you too will be the savior of this world." Then he was shattered to blue polygon. Naruto just glare at the boss, and charge forward, then jumping in midair in front of the boss. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryushozen. With the free hand he support the blade to make upward jump attack to the jaw. The boss immediately was sent upwards. Kirito jump up to use horizontal then vertical to slash at the boss, cause him to crash to the ground. Then the boss stand up and begin to swing in a circle, sending both Kirito and Naruto flying. Just as he was about to finish off Naruto and Kirito, Asuna has appeared in front of them to protect them. The boss began to swing his Nodashi at Asuna. She managed to dodge but barely, but her cloak was ripped off. Beneath the cloak is a beautiful chestnut brown-haired girl with brown eyes. She is beautiful, thought the two boys. Asuna closed the distance between the boss and used linear to strike the boss. The other parties, seeing that the boss has a very low health, decide to charge all in to finish the boss off. Naruto decide to use Ryukansen Kogarashi to blast the boss to Kirito. "Kirito, this is your chance, finishes this bastard off." Kirito just nod his head then charge forward. Kirito slashed from the back, through the sides, up the chest through the boss neck. Then he jumped back and away from the boss to prevent a frozen period from leaving him vulnerable, in case the boss is alive. The boss stood still for a minute. Everyone looking at him prepared to continue if the boss is still alive. Suddenly, the boss was shattered to pieces. "Congratulations! You have defeated Ilfang the Kobold Lord." Everyone began to cheer at the defeat of the boss. They have finally managed to defeat the boss. They have cleared the first floor, which means the other floors can be cleared as well. They will go to the City of Beginnings and inform all the players there that there is still hope in clearing this game. Then Naruto heard a shout behind. Why? Why did you let Diabell die?" The cheer suddenly ceased a little. Then the people moved aside, to show Kibao standing there with his arms crossed. "Letting him die? What do you mean?" asked Naruto, narrowing his eyes. "Yeah. If you knew that the boss will brought out an Odashi, why didn't you warn us? Then Diabell wouldn't have died and none of us will be in this mess right now," said Kibao, looking accused at Naruto and Kirito. "Those two must be beta testers," shout someone from the crowd. "That's how they know the boss attacks pattern. They knew and they didn't tell us. There must be other beta testers out there. Come on, come out." Kirito is nervous. He knew if he didn't do something then all the beta testers will pay the consequence. Also everybody is looking at each other with accused gaze. But the silence was interrupted by Naruto. "Beta tester? I am not a beta tester, but it's the second time you guys have accused me about it. From here on now, I will declare myself as a Batusei, the one and only user of sheath sword style. If anyone dare to accuse me again, I will challenge you to a duel and cut you to pieces." With that said, he turned to the direction of the second floor and opens the gate. The players began to murmur to themselves again. but suddenly they were interrupted by a mocked laugh coming from Kirito. A beta tester? I am not like those losers. Most of beta testers are just beginners that are newbies to the game. Even you guys are better than them. But I am not like them. I am the one that made it higher than anyone else during the beta test. I know more than anyone else information. There is no such person, except the GM, that can compare to me, said Kirito with a cocky smirk. Everybody just look at him in rage, then begin to shout at him and pouting their fingers accusingly. That's way worse than a beta tester. You are cheating. A damn cheater. Then everyone began shouting, cheater, and beta tester, and the mix of Nestor was heard. Beater? Yes, from now on I am a beater, so don't ever compare me to those newbies, said Kirito, then took out the Code of Midnight equip on himself and turned to leave to the direction of the second floor. Asuna looking at him worriedly and follow him. Before he entered the second floor, he turned to Asuna and said, if anyone invite you to the party, just accept. Also enter a good and dependable guild. With that he opens the gate to the second floor and leaving Asuna behind the door. Asuna just looks at the door for a while then turned back to the others. Naruto is heading to the dungeon, to see if there is some item that can help him with seeking information. Suddenly, he looked inside and saw that there were 5 people surrounded by the monsters and their HP is in the yellow zone. Just as he was about to act, he suddenly saw a black blur that appeared before the other 5 and decapitate the monsters with ease. The person has a black hair and in a Code of Midnight with the sword sheath behind his back. Naruto immediately recognized him as Kirito, the self-proclaimed beater. The 5 people that was saved are bowing their head and thank Kirito rapidly. Kirito just scratched his head embarrassed at the praise. In that moment, Naruto decided to show himself. It has been a while, Kirito, said a voice behind Kirito. Kirito turned and looked in surprise as he saw Naruto in his full star deity equipment. Naruto. What are you doing here? Naruto came near Kirito and stood before him. I am here to find some information. Maybe you know something about it? What information are you trying to find? Asked Kirito. I currently seeking information on the PK guilds. So far I couldn't find anything, but maybe you heard something about it. PK guild? They are dangerous, you know. Why do you suddenly decide to seek them? Naruto looks up at Kirito with a serious face and said, I plan to destroy every guilds, every members that preceding PK. Kirito just widened his eyes at the declaration. You will hunt down the PK guild? But that will make you a killer as well. If I didn't hunt them down, then the rest of non-PK players will pay the consequence. I can't let those bastards that enjoy killing to harm the innocent players. Well, if that was you decide, then be careful, don't worry I will. Then suddenly, the girl from the party went to them and said, Anyo, if you two don't mind, can you come to our guild to celebrate? We want to thank Kirito-san for saving us. Kirito looks at Naruto, waiting for his answer. Naruto just sighed then nod his head. With that they return to the town. Floor 11. Taft everyone has stand up and holding a glass of drink to cheer. We are here to cheer for Kirito-san, the man who saved us. Cheers, said Ducker and everyone begin to cheer. It's nothing really, said Kirito sweat dropping. Then Keita turned to Naruto and asked, excuse me, but who are you? You haven't introduced yourself. Naruto just blinked then punching his head and bow and apologize. Excuse me for my rudeness. I am Naruto, a friend of Kirito. Nice to meet you Naruto-san, said Saki greet him with a smile. It's a pleasure to me too. Then Keita decided to go near Kirito and ask him quietly. Kirito-san, I know this is rude, but what level are you? Kirito just looked sideways then answered, level 20 or something. Naruto hearing that just narrow his eyes at that. Keita then praise him that though his level is approximately like them but he is a solo player. Kirito just said there is nothing proud to praise the solo players as they only targeted isolated enemies. Then Keita proposed him to join their guild. Saki also proposed Naruto to join them. But Naruto decided to decline, as he still has unfinished business. But said that he will stick with them for a while. Then he looks at Kirito, waiting for his answer. After thinking for a while, Kirito decided to join them. Then Naruto excused himself, said he need to check something and left the Taft. What's with your friend Kirito? He is so cold, asked Keita turning to Kirito. Kirito just looks at Keita and said, don't mind him, he may be acting cold, but he is a good person. Is he also a solo player like you? Asked Saki. I think so. But his skill in sword is surpassing mine. That's for sure. If you don't mind I am going to check him. Okay, At the river, Naruto is standing near the river looking at full moon. Suddenly, he heard a footsteps behind him, turn around and see Kirito is coming near him. Naruto turned to him and asked, "Why do you decide to lie about your level? Are you afraid that they will recognize you as a beater, if you expose your true level?" Kirito just looks aside. "Then why did you join them? Are you trying to get rid of the loneliness that you are feeling right now?" Kirito turned to Naruto and asked, "What about you? Do you really prepared to end the lives of those PK players? Can you really kill a person, knowing he or she will not be revived?" Naruto hardened his eyes and looked at Kirito, then answered, "I know it's hard to kill off a person in Sao, knowing that he or she couldn't be revived. But I cannot bear to see those hundreds kill off the lives of 1,000 players. I will kill my heart to do what is necessary." With that, Naruto turned to live. Kirito just looks at him in sympathy. "You are a really kind person deep inside, Naruto. You prepared to sacrifice your own heart to save thousands of players." Time skip June 12, 2023. Floor 27. Dungeon. Kirito and the rest of the Moonlit Black Cats Guild are currently in the Dujin. They're hunting for the treasure box. They walk for a while, then stop at one of the wall. Ducker press his hand on the specific place on the wall and the door has appeared. Kirito looks surprised that there was a hidden room there. He felt the bad feeling coming from the room. Ducker opens the door and at the end of the room the treasure chest was present there. They immediately rush in to open the chest. Kirito tried to stop them but they didn't listen. Suddenly, the room began to glow red. The monsters begin to enter the room. The door began to close off, but before it managed to close completely, a shadow has jumped in the room. That shadow was none other than Naruto. He ran to the party and ordered, "Everybody stand back behind me and Kirito. Don't charge in, just try stay as close to us as possible." Kirito looks surprised that Naruto is here but also glad. "What are you doing here, Naruto? I thought you have left already." "I've just decided to left but I have heard that the yellow-haired dude from your party has found a hidden room with a treasure chest. I immediately deduced that is a trap prepared for greedy players with no knowledge." With that said, Naruto and Kirito charge forward to cut down he monsters. Naruto using the basic of Batujutsu to cut down the monster in a blink of an eye. Kirito also used his sword skill to quickly decapitate them. The party just look at the two in awe, as they destroyed monsters before they can strike. Suddenly, one stone soldier managed to sneak up on Saki and is preparing to strike her from behind. Kirito widened his eyes trying to reach her but he knew he won't make it. Saki closing her eyes thinking that was her end. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryukansen. Kogarashi. She heard that and looks up and seeing Naruto standing before her, the stone soldier was blasted to the end of the room. Naruto kneeled down at her and asked, "Are you alright?" Saki just nodded her head, as she is still staring at Naruto. Naruto stand up and said, "Good, now go to Kirito, while I finished off this mess." Saki just nodded and went to Kirito. Kirito immediately asked if she was okay. Saki said, she was fine. After that, Naruto alone has destroyed all the monsters, while Kirito is protecting Saki and the others. Town of Beginnings. The Moonlit Black Cats members are thanking Naruto and Kirito for saving their lives once more. At that moment, Kirito decided to tell them his true level and said that he will leave the guild. Just as Naruto decided to leave, Saki has run up to him and shout at him to wait. Naruto turned back and sees Saki is panting on her hands on her knees. "Wait, Naruto-san. You saved my life so I won't give you something return. Please close your eyes." Naruto just looks at her for a while, then shrugs his shoulders and do as he was told. Saki blushed a bit at what she was about to do, but gathered the courage and leaned forward and kissed Naruto on the cheek. Naruto feels something wet touching his cheek, so he opens his eyes. Saki leans back and smiles at him. "You and Kirito can return to our guild anytime you want. It doesn't matter that you are a solo player. If you want, you can return and we will welcome you with open hands." Naruto looks surprised, then smiling softly at her and said, "I guess I will return here someday." With that, he turned to leave and waving his hand as he walked away. Time skip February 9, 2024. Floor 43. City. Naruto is sitting at the bar, drinking some drink. Then he heard some people has discussed that the PK Guild Titan Hands are gathering members at the Mist Forest at the 43 floor. They're planning to ambush the regular guild called Silver Flags. Naruto, after hearing that, decided to leave. Time skip February 11, 2024. Mist Forest. The PK Guild Titan Hands is a pretty large guild. Approximately around 50 players has gathered at the Mist Forest today, though the leader Rosalia is absent. Just as they about to start the meeting, they saw a shadow is coming from the mist. They all turned to see who it is. The shadow has steps out from the mist to reveal Naruto standing there looking at them with cold eyes. "Hey dude, if you want to live I recommend get out of here AQAP, said one member. Naruto just looking at them with the same cold eyes. "Hey, are you deaf? We said that get out of here, you small fry, before we rethinking." Naruto decided to talk for the first time. "I order you to disband this guild at once or else I won't hesitate to destroy you all." The guild members hearing that began to laugh mockingly. "Oh, and you think you can really take all of us on? You are alone now and there are 50 of us now. You are dead already as you are standing." Naruto ignored the mock and repeat the demand. "I repeat once again. Disband this guild at once. Or I will destroy all of you, no exception," said Naruto, his eyes taking a dangerous gleam. "Fuck you. Who do you think you are to order us around, guys? Let's teach this punk a lesson." With that, about 20 players began to charge in. Naruto run forward, intercept the two in front of him. He was in the Batujutsu stance, when the two enemy was about to strike Naruto. Naruto unsheathing his sword at great speed and cut down the two in front of him in half. Those two just widened their eyes, their mouths gasping, then they shattered in a blue polygon. Naruto's arrow above his head turned red, the sign that he just killed. The rest, seeing their two comrades has fallen, and charging all at once in rage. Naruto moves very fast for them and dodging their strike with ease, as the enemy's level is 30 at max. Naruto use Ryukansen Kogarashi to send them flying like birds. Then jump up to use Ryukansen Arashi. Some fools thought they could took the advantage in midair, and throw the swords at him. Naruto use Ryutsusen to deflect all the blades. Then when he land at the ground he dash forward with blurred speed and cut down one after another with basic Batujutsu slash. Then only one was left alive, he was shaking badly. Suddenly, his eyes widened as it struck him like a lightning, then he stuttered. "T those M moves. T the O only one T that use T that sword S style is B Batuse." Naruto just turned to him, then looking down at him and said, "You've finally managed to recognize me. For that I will spare you. But you must swear on your life that you will never PK ever again." The survivor just nodded his head, then swore on his life that he won't do something like that. Then Naruto turned to leave. After the incident in the mist forest, Naruto has closed himself and focused everything in mastering hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. Kirito has sent him some messages but he never wrote back. His mind is still remembered those PK players scream and the sound of glass shattering on the ground, he knowing that he is not wrong, but killing a person in Sao, knowing that the person will never be revived, will still do brain damage to a person. Even though in the game, Naruto still need to sleep, as he has got used to do that, but every he closes his eyes he see all the people that has killed by him. Now Naruto has returned to the mysterious cave to learn the rest of moves of hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. He is currently trying to perform the new technique that Hiko Seijiro has taught the day before. The technique is in advanced Batujutsu called Soryasen. At first glance, seemingly a simple Batujutsu strike, Soryasen is the first of hidden Mitsurugi Ryu's two-step Batujutsu moves. After the first strike with the quickened sword, the user wields the empty sheath along the same path as blunt weapon. After the sword strike lands, the sheath strike deliver a pulverizing bow, capable of crush bone and shattering wood, but if the sword strike miss, then the sheath strike can act like powerful insurance, preventing an opponent's attacks and delivering blow when at least expected. Naruto continued to practicing the technique and Hiko Seijiro just watching him with cross hands lean his body at the wall. Time skip. May 10, 2024. Floor 42. It has been 3 months since Naruto has completed his training of mastery hidden Mitsurugi. He has learned all the technique, except the Kuzuryasen, the most powerful techniques of the school, and the secret art Amikakeru Ryu no Hirameki, which is force the user to be in life and dead situation to forcefully activate it. Hiko Seijiro has said that Naruto didn't ready to learn those techniques because there was doubt and the fear of death to prevent him from becoming a true successor of hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. During past time, he traveled to practically all the floors, training, treasure hunting, killing PK players. from Laughing Coffin. But one thing he notices wherever he is in place where there were people, they always looking at him with a scared face and try to cross path with him. That action practically proves that they think he was some heartless demon that can only killing people without remorse. Naruto has reached LV80. Hiko Seijiro told him to complete the hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. He need to throw away his doubt and the fear of death. But that's easier said than done, as Naruto was not a trained soldier, so the fear of death will always be in him. So Seijiro advised him just think about some people that he held dear, that he want to protect with his life, then the feeling of death will be overcome. But no matter what he do, the doubt of his actions and the fear of death still pursued him. After a while of spending time in a dungeon, Naruto decided to return to floor 35, as he heard a rumor of a beast tamer there. Naruto has never met one, so he is curious. Floor 35. Forest of Wandering. One short girl with her hair in two pigtails wearing a red outfit was surrounded by the pack of drunk apes. Above her there is a blue feathery dragon flying and using its skills to heal the girl. Suddenly, she was blasted by a strike from one of drunk apes to a tree. Her health has dropped to red zone. The moment the drunk ape decide to finish her, the feathery dragon has intercepted and taking the blow. The girl is watching wide teary eyes, as her friend has died right in front her eyes. The dragon shattered and only one feather was left. She looked back and saw the three apes has approaching and trying to finishing the job. The girl just closed her eyes waiting for her end. But that was never happened. Suddenly, she heard the sound of shattering glass and looks up to see a person before her with his position that he just drawn a sword from the sheath. He has blonde spiky hair, cold blue eyes, wearing a dark blue cloak. Also there are gloves, boots and earrings on him which had a star painting on them. She just widened her eyes as she recognized him. He is the talk of all players, as they said if you met him run away as far as possible before he end your life. Naruto just looking at the girl for a while, then tilt his head aside and muttered, so this is a rumored beast tamer, huh? But it seems I come a little late, as her familiar is already dead. Though there is still a way to resurrect it. The girl just turned away from Naruto, then kneeling before the remaining feather and cry, Pina, Pina, it's my fault that you had died. Naruto just looking at her in pity, then decide to said, you know, there is a way to resurrect your dragon. The girl seeing that turned wide eyes and asked hurriedly, is that true, Hitakari Batuse-san? We can save Pina? Naruto just tilt his head aside and look at her, oh. So you know who I am. Anyway, yes, there is a way to resurrect your dragon, but we need to go to the Hill of Memories at the 47th floor. There is a flower that could resurrect a familiar. Also it could only bloom at the presence of Beast Tamer, said Naruto, then kneeling and help her stand up. The girl was glad as first, then she heard that it was in 47th floor and looking down sadly. 47th floor. I won't survive if I go there, muttered the girl sadly. Naruto, not wanting to see her sad, proposed, I can go there with you, so there is no problem, but we must hurry as the familiar can only be resurrected during the 3 days after the death. The girl widened her eyes at that and shout, then we need to hurry, said the girl and begin to run ahead. Wait, we need to buy you some decent equipment first. Also, what is your name? You hasn't tell me, asked Naruto, catching up with her. Oh, sorry, I am Silica, Hitakari Batuse-san. Just call me Naruto. It feels weird to hear the nickname coming from you, said Naruto, flick her forehead. Then they continue to walk to the town. You are different from the rumors I heard. How different? The rumor said that you are a heartless person that enjoy killing people and you should run if meeting you by accident. How come you didn't run away then? Because the rumor is wrong. You may act cold, but you're not heartless person that enjoy killing. I am sure that you had a reason for your actions, said Silica, looking ahead as they 5 walk. Naruto just looked surprised, as she did not judge him like others. Yeah, I have a reason for doing that. At the town, Naruto and Silica walk down the street. The people notice him and begin to avoid him while whispering to themselves. Silica just looks at Naruto worried, but Naruto just walking with a calm face, like what is happening not bother him. They entered one shop and buy some decent equipments for Silica. After that they proceed to the Hill of Memories. Scene change. Floor 47. Hill of Memories is a very beautiful place. It looks like a huge garden and there is a long road at the center leading to the place where the Numa flower is located. Naruto and Silica are walking at the road. Suddenly, under Silica a tentacle monster appeared and pick her up. Naruto seeing her been picked up by the plant monster and looks up in amusement. When she scream help, Naruto decide to act and use Batujutsu to cut down a monster. Silica is on the ground, kneeling and glaring playfully at Naruto. Naruto just looks away and begin to whistle. Then they continue their path. In the path, some monsters has attacked them but they are all weak, so Naruto let Silica deal with it. They have come to the end of the path and seeing a floating pot. When Silica come near, from the empty ground the flower begin to bloom. Silica look at it then turn to Naruto to ask, "Is it this flower? With this I can resurrect Pina, right?" Naruto just nod his head and said, "Yeah, but we better do that when we return to the town, as 6 there are still some strong monsters around." Silica nod her head and put the flower into inventory. Then they proceed to return to town. Suddenly, Naruto bring his hand up to stop Silica from walking ahead. "Come out now, whoever you are." The person behind a tree hearing that decide to come out of the hiding place. "So you've noticed me, but that's as expected from the infamous Hitakari Batuse, that single-handedly destroy my guild," said the woman with a red hair that has a bang covering her eye. Silica hearing that had gasped in surprise and turned to look at Naruto. "I never expect to meet you here, Rosalia the leader of Titan Hands," said Naruto calmly with a smirk. "We just planned to steal the flower from the girl, but as you are here as well, we will deal with you also." With that said, 7 more players with orange mark has appeared with a smirk on their face. Silica seeing that turned to Naruto and said that they should escape as there are too many of them. Naruto just smirked coldly and looking ahead then walking forward to the enemy. Silica seeing the smirk take a step back on fright. Rosalia think the opponent is out of his mind and ordered the party to finish him. The party begin to charge at Naruto and begin to slash him rapidly. Naruto cross his hands and just looking at each of them. Silica is just about to ask Naruto why he just stand there, but looking at his HP and seeing that it is practically not drop. "What is going on?" asks Silica looking in wonder. 400 damage every 10 seconds is the damage you 7 managed to inflict me. My level is 80. Battle healing skill is 700 per 10 seconds. You guys can strike for days and still my 7 health will still not change, said Naruto looking at them. "Is it even possible?" asked one of PK players disbelievingly. "Yes, if you reach a high level enough the difference between a high level and a low level player will be so much that it won't even be fair. That's the unfair reality of MMORPG leveling system. Also when I am at LV42 I had single-handedly destroyed 50 members of your guild. You guys are the only remain members right now," said Naruto looking at them. Then he glared at Rosalia and said, "You have only one chance, disband the guild right now and all of you will live. I don't want to kill such trash as you guys in front of this girl." Rosalia is shaking but still said, "I am a green player right now. If you kill me you will gain red mark." But she was interrupted by Naruto. "So what? I've killed your entire guild and I am a solo player. It won't matter to me." Rosalia just doing as she was told and disband the guild. Then they begin to run as fast as possible from the Hill of Memories. Naruto and Silica use the crystal to transport to the City of Beginning. City of Beginning in one house, Naruto and Silica is sitting at the bed. Suddenly, Naruto looks down and asks, "Are you scared of me? What will you think if I were to kill those people there?" Silica turned to him and said, "No, I am not afraid of you. I know you will not kill those people, as you are not that kind of person to kill if the strength is uneven. You are very honorable Naruto-san." 8. I think too highly of me. I am not that emotional. Will you leave now? Yeah, I still need Master 2 skills before I go to the clearing. Party in helping my friend to defeat bosses. The clearing party is really amazing, right? No matter how I trained, I will never be able to join them. In this world all is illusion. Strength, leadership, wealth. Everything is not real. There are more important things than that. Silica just look at him admirably. Scene change. Naruto is sitting near the tree thinking about the condition for learning the remaining techniques. He closes his eyes and falls deep in thought. He think about Kirito, Asuna, Agile and the Moonlit Black Cat Guild members. Suddenly, he opens his eyes. His eyes is hardening with resolve in the mysterious cave. After the incident in Hill of Memories, Naruto has decided to return to his master house in order to complete his training. He is currently standing before his master with resolve in his eyes. Seijiro just looks at him and nods his head. Seems you don't have doubts anymore. That's good. Alright, I will teach you the last technique of Hidden Mitsurugi, the technique that strike with God speed at all 99 vital points of the opponents at once. Kuzuriasen, Naruto raised his hand up to ask. Sensei, can this technique being evade? Seijiro nodded his head and said, yes, your opponent can evade this technique, but only if he is faster than you. Then Naruto asked again, is there any boss that can evade this technique? Yes, there is one that even faster than me, and you must face him after you master the Kuzuriasen. No one has ever go there to challenge him, as his speed and power is ridiculous. But you need to go there, as by only going there, you will experience the border between life and death too. Execute Amikakeru Ryu no Hiramaki flawlessly. This is do or die situation, Naruto. If you failed to perform Amikakeru Ryu no Hirameki, you will die in instant. That boss is the only boss that no players has ever dared to even step close to his base. Naruto looking at the ground thinking for a while. After hearing that he need to defeat such a powerful boss in his own, he began to doubt his ability. What if he failed to perform Amikakeru Ryu no Hirameki? What if he don't even a slight chance at defeating that boss? Then Naruto shaking away those thoughts and heart in his eyes. I won't fail. I can't fail. For the sake of my friends and 4,000 players remain. Seijiro seeing this, smirked and said, you have guts, my apprentice. I am proud to call you my student. After mastering Kuzuriasen, I will show you the movements of Amikakeru Ryu no Hirameki, but the condition to execute this move is to be on the border of life and death. The location of the boss is on the 60th floor, the demon's castle. There you will need to defeat the boss by the name Sakari Kojira, the demon general samurai. Will there be minions or sentinels? Asked Naruto. No, there will be only the boss, but that will be enough to destroy any players, as his speed and strength is insane. But for reward, if you able to defeat him, you will obtain the legendary sword, Kusanagi no Tsurugi, the legendary blade. That is unbreakable and is the strongest katana. Then let our training begin, sensei, said Naruto. With that, Seijiro began to teach Naruto Th's last technique of Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. Time skip 2 weeks later. After 2 weeks of constant training, Naruto is finally able to master Kuzuriasen. Right now he is in the garden practice on the logs. Suddenly, Seijiro come out of the house, turned to Naruto and said, that's enough for today, said Seijiro, then calls Naruto to come and sit near him. Are you ready to go to 60th floor? You cannot go there if you think you are not ready. Naruto turned to Seijiro and said with determined expression, no, I am ready. I will go there and defeat the boss, to complete my training. Seijiro take a sip from his bottle and look ahead. Then I wish you good luck. If you manage to survive, come to me and we will celebrate, of course, sensei. Scene change. Floor 60. Demon's Castle. Naruto went in the Demon's Castle and walking ahead. After a while of walking, he is standing before a huge arena and there is a shadow far behind sitting on the throne. The shadow seeing there is an intruder begin to stand up. Then he walk forward to the arena to see who is the intruder. When he is in the range of sight, Naruto saw that he is a demon wearing a red full armor of samurai with a very long sword in his hand. The demon seeing Naruto is standing at his arena and ask, "What are you doing here, weakling? You dare to intrude in my territory. Don't you know who I am?" Naruto just looking at the boss and answered, "You are Sakari Kojira, the demon general samurai, but I am surprised that you can actually talk as the other bosses can't." The boss just looks down at Naruto and said arrogantly, "Knowing that and still coming here, you really has a dead wish. So I think I will make your wish come true, you foolish human." With that, Kojira charged forward at blurred speed at Naruto. "Man, sensei didn't lie, his speed really is insane," muttered Naruto, sweat dropping nervously. Kojira appeared in front of Naruto and slashed horizontally, trying to take off Naruto's head. Naruto jumped back to a decent distance, pointing the tip of his blade to the ground so that it touches the ground, then slash up. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Doryasen. The earthen debris of Doryasen coming at Kojira with knockout forces. But Kojira suddenly disappeared before the strike could reach him. Naruto is looking around, upward then downward. Suddenly, he feels the wind blowing up at the back of his head, so he immediately lied down on his stomach to avoid the hit from behind. Kojira appeared in midair and trying to cut Naruto in half. Naruto jumped forward to Kojira to perform Ryushozen and strike him in the jaw, sending him to the ceiling. Because Kojira is a powerful boss, he only have 1 bar of HP. The Ryushozen has causes him to lose 1/5 of his life. Kojira in rage entered berserk mode and began to crush everything in his way. In berserk mode, his eyes glowing red. Also his instinct became top-notch. Naruto used Ryusosen, trying to confuse the boss with massive flurry of strikes, but Kojira managed to dodge easily. Then he jumped to the ceiling. Use the force of the ceiling where he landed to push himself at Naruto with insane speed. It was so fast that Naruto only feels the wind blowing past him, then he feels an intense pain at his back. Naruto cry out in pain, rolling away from his opponent and look at his HP bar, and seeing his HP is in yellow zone border on red zone. So this is the strength of the fastest boss in Sao. I begin to doubt myself that I can defeat him, said Naruto to himself. Panting heavily, Kojira just looked down at Naruto with his red eyes smirking mockingly. Naruto just glared at him and began to slowly stand up. Kojira, seeing that Naruto has no intentions to give up, charge at him. Naruto closed his eyes to feel his opponents. When Kojira is about to strike, he sidestep, jump past him and begin to spin. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryukansen. The strike delivered to the back of Kojira, sending him flying to the demon's general throne, destroying it. Naruto look at the boss HP bar and seeing it has lost 3/5 health. Naruto immediately fall to his knees and panting heavily, his body is shaking badly. Kojira begin to stand up and roar in rage, then he turned to Naruto and roar even louder. Naruto looking at him panting, with his eyes half closed. Kojira suddenly gather the energy in his sword, cause it to glow dark red color. Then he slash the air to the direction of Naruto and shout, "Getsuga! Tenshou!" Naruto, seeing the huge crescent energy wave coming, widen his eyes and try to dodge, but he is too tired to move. Naruto decide to use 30 of his potion at once, hoping to survive the attack. The strike hit him and send him flying far away. "Ah!" screamed Naruto as he sent flying by the shock wave. Naruto lying in the ground looking at his HP and see that he only has 800 HP left. Kojira, seeing his opponent is helpless, immediately charge forward to finish him off. Naruto barely able to stand, looking up at Kojira with one eye. It's now or never. This moment will decide wherever I will live or die. Kojira swing his sword with intention to cut off Naruto's head. Naruto stand back up and change to Batujutsu stance. Then he performed the normal Batujutsu strike but add another step. Mid-draw with leading foot adjacent to the sheath. Then suddenly there is a twinkle star coming from the moment too. Sword was unsheathing. In a blink of an eye, Naruto swing the sword and cut Kojira in half diagonally. Amakakeru Ryu no Hirameki. Kojiro couldn't notice anything until the strike hit him, then he looked down and roared in rage. His HP is slowly dropping to 0. Naruto standing with his back turned to the boss breathing heavily. Then he heard the sound of glass shattering. After that a panel appeared before him. Congratulations. You have defeated Sakari Kojiro, the demon General Samurai. Then Naruto opened his inventory and saw a legendary sword. Kusanagi no Tsurugi was there. He just smiled tiredly, then looked up at the sky and said, "Sensei, I've succeeded." With that he blacked out floor 57. Restaurant. During the past time, Asuna has joined a guild by the name Knights of Blood Oath and became the vice commander. She and Kirito is sitting at the restaurant waiting for their meal. After they discovered the fake method of murdering in the safe area, they have returned there. "Have you seen Naruto recently?" asked Asuna looking at Kirito. Kirito just shook his head and answered, "No, I have written him many times, but never received the answer back. I think he is being affected by the decision of killing PK players. Some people had saw him, but they just avoid him like a plague because of his title as Hitakari Batuse," said Asuna. Suddenly, one player run in the restaurant and shout, "Have you heard the rumor that the demon general has been defeated?" Everyone in the restaurant began to widen their eyes then. Murmured to themselves, discussing is that actually true or just a rumor. Who had defeated him? He is the fastest boss in Sao. Who managed to defeat him? Asked one player sitting at the table. Some people training there said they had seen Hitakari Batuse went to the demon's castle. People begin to murmur again. Kirito and Asuna hearing that widened their eyes. Then Asuna stand up and shout, "Did he insane? Why the heck did he go there? He could have died." Kirito thought for a while, then decided to reply, "But if he alone can defeat that boss, then he really is amazing. But I knew for sure that he is barely alive right now." Then they both receive a message from Naruto. They look at it and smiled. The message said, "I have complete my training. From now on I will join the clearing party to help clear this accused game." Kirito and Asuna closed the message and look at each other. "He have decided to join the clearing party," said Asuna smiling. "Yeah, with him now we will clear the floors more faster and eventually we'll clear the game," said Kirito smiling as well. Kirito and Asuna looked out of the window and thought. After visiting his master and celebrate the victory over the demon general, Naruto wrote a message to Kirito to ask his location. Kirito said that just meet him in a place called Lisbeth Smith's shop. So he is heading to that place right now. Like usual, people begin to avoid him, but there are still some people looking at him in awe, as he single-handedly managed to defeat the fastest boss in Sao. After a while of walking, he finally able to find the place. Looking at the door for a minute, he decided to come in Lisbeth Smith's shop. When Naruto came in, he saw the person in black cloak is looking at the weapons, trying to choose the suitable sword for him. Naruto immediately recognized him as Kirito. Smirking evilly, Naruto decided to silently come near Kirito, then scared him. Boo! Kirito is searching intently for the suitable sword until he suddenly heard a voice from behind him. "Ah!" screamed Kirito in surprise and jumped to the ceiling. When he landed, he turned around and saw Naruto laughing out loud while holding his stomach. Kirito just turned around and glared at him playfully. "We haven't seen each other live forever and the first thing you do is scare the shit out of me?" Naruto's laughing has died down and he said, "Yeah, it's been a while, Kirito. Where is Asuna?" "I think she is with you right now," asked Naruto, tilt his head aside. "She is busy with her duty as a vice commander of Knights of Blood Oath. But she will meet up with us tomorrow," answered Kirito, looking at the swords around the shop. "Before I forget, how did you manage to defeat the demon general anyway?" asked Kirito curiously, turned to Naruto. "It was not easy at all. I nearly died fighting him, but to execute my ultimate technique, I need to be put in the condition bordering between life and death. That was the gamble with death. If I couldn't perform that technique, then I will be dead for sure," said Naruto, remembering the hardest battle he had ever fought. "You know, after that incident you've become even more famous," said Kirito, smirking at Naruto. Naruto just rubbing his forehead and muttered, "So troublesome. What are doing here anyway?" asked Naruto, looking at Kirito. "Oh, I just need one more sword. I'm looking for a while but can't find anything suitable for me." Suddenly the door behind the cellar cabin opened. The girl with short shoulder-length hair come in and see the customers are waiting for her. "Welcome to Lisbeth Smith's shop. How can I help you too?" said Lisbeth smiling. Then she looks at Naruto and widen her eyes. "The Hidakari Batuse is here." Naruto just sweat drop anime style and whispered to Kirito. "Am I such famous now?" Kirito just nod his head, then turned to Lisbeth and said, "I would like to order a custom-made sword." Lisbeth looked sideways at Kirito's clothing and wondered if he had enough cash to pay. "Is something wrong?" asked Naruto looking at Lisbeth. "No, it's just that the price on metals are pretty high right now," answered Lisbeth. "Don't worry about the cost. I just need the best sword that you can make," said Kirito. "Could you give me the idea of stats that you can looking for?" asked Lisbeth. "If you need the best sword then, you can use the stats of this," said Naruto. Took out the Kusanagi no Tsurugi from the sheath and placed it on the table. Kirito just looked in wonder, so is Lisbeth. The legendary blade is in front of them right now, and that is unbelievable. "So you really managed to obtain it? I thought the rumor of this blade is just rumor," said Kirito looking at Kusanagi. Lisbeth turned to Naruto with wide eyes and asked, "So you really managed to defeat the demon general? I thought that was just a rumor, but seeing this blade in front of my eyes had cleared any doubt. How strong are you to achieve something like that?" Naruto just scratched his head and said, "It was need to complete my training, so the Kusanagi is just a bonus. Anyway, use the stats of Kusanagi to forge a new weapon for Kirito." Lisbeth looking at Kusanagi for a minute, then turned back and picked one of the swords there. "How about this one?" asked Lisbeth, giving Kirito the sword. Kirito take it and begin to do some experience swing. "This sword is the best sword I ever made," said Lisbeth proudly. "It's a little light," muttered Kirito. "I used a speed-type metal to create it," said Lisbeth. Naruto take the sword away from Kirito and turned to his Kusanagi. "Let's test it for durability. If it can withstand one strike from Kusanagi, then I will approve," said Naruto. Raised Kusanagi up. Then he strike at Lisbeth's sword. Lisbeth's sword was break with ease. Lisbeth just looking at the broken blade with wide eyes, then turned to Naruto and glare at him. "You dare to break my sword, now you should pay for it." Naruto hearing that glared back. "Huh? Why should I need to pay for that blade? That blade broke because its durability is so weak that it can't withstand one strike from Kusanagi." Lisbeth just turned her head away with a huh and said, "Just because your sword is the Kusanagi, and you so full of yourself. If I have a materials I can make a blade that can fight equal with Kusanagi. Of course, the durability will not be unbreakable, but it will withstand your Kusanagi for hours." Naruto just looking at her with challenging eyes. "Ho? You are so sure of yourself that you could make the sword that could fought with Kusanagi for hours. I'd like to see you create something like that." Lisbeth is looking back at Naruto with a smirk. "To make things interesting, let's make a bet." Naruto hearing that tilt his head aside and ask, "What kind of bet?" "If you lose then you will be my servant for life, and if I lose then vice versa. So what do you say?" proposed Lisbeth smirking. Naruto looked down to think for a while. Seeing he did not reply, Lisbeth said mockingly, "Oh, the big bad Batuse is scared of losing? I think you didn't fear anything?" With that Naruto immediately snapped back from his thought and turned to Lisbeth and glared. "I don't scare of anything. Don't come begging to release yourself when I win the bet. All right, you are on." Kirito is looking at the both of them, as they are arguing. "Anyo." They turned to Kirito to see what he wanted. "It actually concerned about the creation of my sword. I think I will go to for the materials." But he was interrupted by Lisbeth. "No way. You don't even know where the materials are. And because of the bet we made, me and that annoying Batuse are going to pick up the materials." Naruto hearing she called him annoying shout back, "Hey, who do you call annoying, you Pinky?" Lisbeth hearing him calls her Pinky snapped back. "Ha! How dare you calls me Pinky? When I win the bet I am going to make you clean this shop until it is shining bright." Kirito just looks at them sweat drop anime style. "You two act just like old married couple." They both heard that, turned to Kirito and said at the same time, "We are not married couple. Who the heck would like to marry someone like him, her?" Kirito just laughs nervously at the scene before him. "Anyway Blondie, you and me are going to the floor 55, on the western mountain to collect the materials. There's supposed to be a dragon living there. According to the rumor, it builds up a rare metal on its body," said Lisbeth pointing at Naruto. Naruto put down her finger and said, "Oi, don't call me Blondie. That's annoying. I have a name, you know. It's Naruto, Miss Pinky." She just bonked Naruto in the head and said annoyed. I am Lisbeth. From now on use that name or else I am gonna pound you to the ground each time you calls me Pinky. Naruto rubbed his head and looking fearfully at her burning eyes. Kirito looking at the scene barely able to hold himself from laugh at Naruto. Floor. 55 Western Mountain. Naruto and Lisbeth is walking silently to the destination. But Lisbeth is sneezing a very minute. Naruto just looks at her with a sigh and asks. Don't you have anything warmer to wear? Who the heck knows that the 55th floor will be so cold? Naruto sighed once more and opened his inventory to give her a coat made of fox's fur. She wears the coat on, then looks at Naruto's state of dress and asks. Don't you need this too? Naruto turned to her and said. Don't worry about me. I am used to this level of cold. Then Naruto proceeded to go ahead of her. Lisbeth looked at Naruto and thought. I can't believe I am alone with a guy in this kind of place, but he can be caring when he is not a jerk. Then she heard Naruto's voice ahead of her. Oi, what are doing there? Sleeping? Or are you scared of the dragon? Lisbeth immediately erased her thought about Naruto being caring and yells in rage. Who the heck tell you I am scared? I am going to pound you to the ground for that comment. With that Lisbeth running forward to catch up to Naruto and to bonk him in the head. What's that for? Asked Naruto rubbing his head. That's for being a jerk, said Lisbeth turn her head away with a huh and walk ahead of him. Naruto still rubbing his head and looking at her back annoyed. Time skip after walking for a while, they have find the field full of crystals. Lisbeth is looking at the field in wonder. It's so beautiful. Just as she about to run forward, she was held by the back of her coat by Naruto. What the heck do you think you are doing? Naruto looks at her seriously and said. Get the teleport crystal ready. I'll eat care the rest from there. Once the dragon appeared, you immediately hide in the shadows of the crystals. Don't come out. What? I am no newbie. I want to help, complained Lisbeth, but she was interrupted by Naruto. No, I have killed the demon general alone, so I will be fine, but if something happened to you. After the said, Naruto turned his head away. Lisbeth just looking at him surprised that he snapped at her like that. He did care about me, thought Lisbeth smiling warmly, and her heart began to beat a little faster. Lisbeth nodded her head silently. Well, let's get going then, said Naruto, then come in front of her to rub her head and grin tidily. Lisbeth looked at his grinning face and blush a little. Suddenly, they heard a dragon's roar. Naruto immediately ordered to Lisbeth to hide. She just nodded and did what she was told. That moment the dragon decided to reveal itself. It was a huge aqua dragon with crystals on its back. It looks at the intruder and prepare a breath attack to destroy the intruder. Lisbeth have enough time to warn Naruto about the breath attack. Naruto used Doriosan to deflect the breath attack. When the dragon charged forward at him, he also jumped to the dragon but avoid him a little so that him jump past him and begin to spin. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryukansen. With that the dragon was hit at the back its neck and roar in pain. Using the momentum when he land on the mountain, to immediately rush at the dragon. Hidden Mugen Zan. The dragon couldn't catch up with Naruto's speed and as a result one of its arms was cut off. Lisbeth just looks at the battle in wonder, as the dragon can't even scratch Naruto. Amazing. Who the heck is he that can stand up to a dragon? Go on and finished him off quickly, idiot, don't come out, he is still very dangerous, shouted Naruto. The dragon looks aside and noticed there is one more intruder. Huh? Is it over already? Asked Lisbeth, but she was interrupted by a very strong wind caused by the wing attack of the dragon. Lisbeth seeing that decided to run. But the wing attack was so powerful that it blasted her to the huge hole there. Naruto seeing widen his eyes immediately rushed to her. Lisbeth began to fall to the deep hole screaming. Suddenly, she felt someone catching her wrist, looked up and saw Naruto as the one. Liz, hang on. Then he embraced her and they begin to fall down. Lisbeth feels the warmth of his chest begin to nuzzle in even more. At the bottom of the hole, Lisbeth opening her eyes to see she is lying in Naruto's chest. Feeling the warmth she nuzzle in it. But the voice of Naruto snapped her back. You are alive. How long are you gonna nuzzle in my chest like that? Lisbeth hearing that immediately back away from him and blushed heavily, then she muttered. Yeah, I am alive. Thank you for saving me. It's early for thanking me. We need to find a way to get out of here, said Naruto looks up around. Can't we just use the crystal to teleport back? Asked Lisbeth and brought the crystal activated to return back, but it was no use. Seems we can't use teleport crystals here. That means there is another way to escape, said Naruto brought his knuckle to his chin. You can't know for sure. It can be a trap to kill anyone who falls into it, said Lisbeth worriedly. Naruto looks at her and tilts his head to the side. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but that may be true too. Hey, at least try to cheer me up, Lisbeth snapped at Naruto. Naruto thinks for a minute, then clicks his fingers and said, I have an idea. And what is that idea? To run up the walls. Lisbeth just looks at Naruto like he is an idiot. Are you an idiot? How do you expect to run up from this far? Naruto looks at her annoyed, then said, if we don't try it we can't be sure. With that he began to run up the walls with impressive speed, but when he has nearly managed to get out, he slips back and begin to fall back. Lisbeth looked down at Naruto, as he laying in the snow ground. I've told you already, there is no way you can run up from this far. Naruto just turned his head away. Time skip at night. Lisbeth and Naruto is lying in their futon looking at the sky. What a strange feeling. I am lying on the ground with the guy the first barely know in an unknown place. There is no way it will happen in real life, said Lisbeth looking up at the sky. Then Lisbeth turned to Naruto and smirked. Also, to think that you are stupid enough to try to escape from this place by running up. You sure is a weirdo. Naruto just rolls his eyes and muttered, well, sorry for that. Lisbeth just smiled at him, then remembered something and asked Naruto. Hey, Naruto. Why did you decide to save me, back then? Naruto looks at her with not understand why she asked that. Did I really need a reason to save a person? Lisbeth just widened her eyes at the answer, then smiling warmly. You know, it's rare to see an idiot like you to do something and to asking anything in return. Naruto just looks at her annoyed and said, just stop calling me idiot already. Lisbeth just laughed heartily. Then the wind began to blow harsher. Lisbeth began to shiver. Naruto seeing that come near her and embrace from behind. Lisbeth feels Naruto embrace, turn to him and shout with a red face. What do you think you are doing, pervert? Naruto just looks at her and said. The temperature has become colder, so I am sharing the body heat with you. Lisbeth's face still red, she opens her mouth to retort, then closed her mouth and muttered. Just hold me tighter. Naruto and Lisbeth then lied down facing each other in one futon. Lisbeth smiling warmly at Naruto. She think for a minute, then decide to said. Hey, Naruto? Naruto opens his eyes and asked, what? Lisbeth began to blush at what she was about to say, but still said. I want to change the condition of the bet. Naruto looks interested at this and asked. What do you want to change? Lisbeth began to blush even harder and began to stutter. If I am gonna win the bet, then you must marry me, Naruto. She shouts with a red face at the end of the sentence. Naruto's eyes widen like a dinner plate and begin to stutter too. What? Why you suddenly decide that? Lisbeth looking shyly at Naruto with a red face, then leans in Naruto's face and kiss him. Naruto widened his eyes but returned the kiss. When she broke the kiss, she looks at him shyly and said. That's why. You've managed to stole my heart, you idiot. Naruto smiling warmly at her and embrace her, so that she is nuzzling in his chest, then said. If I win, then you will grant me one wish. Lisbeth looks up at his smiling face and said softly. Okay. With that they falls asleep in each other's embrace. In the morning, Lisbeth opens her eyes and seeing her head is on someone's chest. Then she remembered what happened yesterday and feels so happy. Naruto opens his eyes too and looks down at her. How was your sleep, Lee? Lisbeth just smiled brightly and said. Oh, because I've obtained the new pillow, the sleep was excellent. Naruto rolls his eyes, then noticed something on the ground and told Lisbeth to move away, so he could stood up. Lisbeth just look at his back unpleased, that she lost her pillow. Naruto picks up the object and shows to Lisbeth. Look at this. Lisbeth come near and see the crystal in Naruto's hand. She press at the stats and it writes, crystallite ingot. It seems that the dragon eats the crystals and creating this in its stomach. Because of that no one able to obtain this rare crystal. That also means that this is a dragon's nest. So sooner or later it will return to this place. Just as Naruto said that they heard a roar above them, they looks up to see a dragon is flying down. Naruto immediately reacts and slash down to the ground to create a mist to fool a dragon. Then he hold Lisbeth bridal style and begin to run up the walls. Hold on me tightly, said Naruto running up the walls. Lisbeth just nod her head then tied the embrace on his neck. Naruto used the chance that the dragon still hasn't noticed them to jump on his neck. The dragon immediately the extra weight and begin to fly up to shake off the weight. We are outside, said Naruto when they are out of the dragon nest. Then he jump out of the dragon and now they falling freely. Lisbeth just looks in awe at Naruto the whole time. As they are continue to fall, Lisbeth decide to shout. You know what, Naruto? I love you. Because of the wind affecting the hearing, Naruto can't hear anything and ask back. What did you said? I can't hear anything, shouted Naruto, brought his hand to his ear. Lisbeth just laughing heartily and embrace Naruto. It's nothing, shout Lisbeth. Naruto just hugged back smiling warmly. Floor 48 Linda's. When Lisbeth and Naruto return, Naruto send Kirito a message that they have managed to collect the materials. So they are standing at the forge place in Linda's now. Lisbeth has heat the metals to a certain temperature and now concentrate on forging the sword she imagined. Just image the best sword that I can forge. Remember the kiss Naruto gave you, remember the time we spent at the bottom of a dragon nest, and remember the bet. I can do this. Lisbeth slamming the hammer in the metal. After some time, the metals begun to glow and a sword appeared in its place. It was the sword of turquoise color. Lisbeth opens its stats and said, its name is Dark Repulsor. Naruto and Kirito look at the sword in wonder. Try it out, said Lisbeth. Turned to Kirito. Kirito nodded his head, then did some experimental swing and nod satisfied. Wait. Now time for the bet, said Naruto. Unsheathed the kusanagi. Naruto come to Kirito and said he put the sword back on the table. Lisbeth gulped nervously as Naruto raised kusanagi up. Then he slashed down at Dark Repulsor. But nothing happened, there is not even a scratch on Dark Repulsor. Naruto sheathed his kusanagi back and turned to Lisbeth smiling warmly and said, it seems you've won the bet, future wife of mine. Lisbeth was so happy that she jumped in Naruto's arms and don't let go of him. At that moment, Asuna decided to show up. She immediately rushed in and hugged Lisbeth tightly. Liz, I was so worried about you. I couldn't send messages or tracks you on the map. Where have you been last night? Asked Asuna tearfully. Sorry, I am stuck in dungeon with that guy yesterday, said Lisbeth pointing at Naruto. Asuna turned to Naruto and her expression changed to Murtis. Oh, I almost forgot about this troublemaker. What do you think when you go facing that boss on the 60th floor, huh? Naruto just rolls his eyes and said, Hi, I already know my fault. Please forgive me, oh great Asuna-sama. Lisbeth looks surprised that Asuna knew Naruto and asked, do you two know each other? Yeah, me, Kirito and Naruto met each other during the boss hunt on the first floor. Kirito remembered something and decided to ask, wait, what do you she is your future wife, Naruto? Lisbeth just looks away blushing. It's as you heard. During the time at the bottom of the dragon nest, we became closer. Then Liz proposed to change the condition of the bet. If she win, then I will marry her. If I win, then she will grant me one wish, explained Naruto, scratching his head. So you guys are gonna marry? Congratulations, asked Asuna, looking at Lisbeth then Naruto. She sees they both nod their head shyly and congratulate them. Ehem. How much for the sword? Asked Kirito, feeling this situation weird. Because you a friend of my fiancé. I will give you that for free, said Lisbeth, then come near Naruto to embrace him. He just hold to her waist and nuzzle at her head. So when do you decide to marry? Asked Asuna, smiling cheerfully. Because Naruto will soon join the front line, we will do that tomorrow at some village, said Lisbeth, turned to Naruto smiling happily. Well, then we will leave you two for now. We will come for your wedding though, said Asuna. With that she pushed Kirito to the door, then left Naruto and Lisbeth alone. Naruto and Lisbeth come to the bench and sit on it. Liz put her head on Naruto's shoulder and smiling softly. Still can't believe that I win the bet and tomorrow we will be married. I never thought that I would marry anyone in this game, let alone Hitakari Batuse himself, said Lisbeth. Look ahead. Me too, can't believe that I will marry someone I've dedicated for executing the PK guilds and players, you know. So I thought that I will be alone forever, but my meeting with you had changed my whole life. Every time I closed my eyes trying to sleep, the faces of those I killed always appeared before me. They always said the same thing, that I will receive punishments for my sins. But with you around, when we sleep in each other's embrace, I feels at ease. The nightmares just erase themselves, said Naruto, turning to Liz. You will join Frontline soon, right? If you need to repair the equipments. Also end this game, so that we can be a real couple. I will be waiting for you, said Liz, leans in Naruto's face. Yeah, I promise that with Kirito, Asuna and the clearing party, we will clear this game. I will try to come as often as I can, said Naruto and capture her lips. After a while, They broke the kiss and Lisbeth turned back to leans in Naruto's arms. Naruto embraces her waist and hold her. You know, when Asuna came and said that she knew I was really scared back there, scared that I will lose you to her, said Liz smiled sadly, then she brightened up and said. But then you remind of the bet, it caused all my worries to blow away. Naruto nuzzled his face to her hair and said, I don't dent the fact that Asuna is attractive. But I love you and she is interested in that moody black cloth swordsman. Then Lisbeth stand up and turn to Naruto to ask, so where are we gonna married? Naruto think for a while and said, there is actually a very nice place at the 22th floor. We will go to the village and get married. Naruto and Lisbeth is currently walking to the Lake of Oath holding each other's hands and smiling happily. The villagers seeing the new married couple walking past them, begin to congratulate them and wish them happiness. Naruto and Lisbeth just bowing down and said thank them. Suddenly, Lisbeth decided to ask. When will you return to the front line? Naruto turned to her and said. When Kirito and Asuna calls me then, I will join them. Suddenly, Lisbeth received a message from Asuna, that Kirito had managed to find S-class meat, the ragu rabbit and invite Naruto and her so they can eat together. Do you want to go, Liz? Asked Naruto looking at his wife. Well, it's an S-class meat, so I'd like to taste it. Well, I am not recommend you to go to them. Why? Asked Lisbeth curiously. I want to give that dumber Kirito to realize what Asuna feels to him. With this meat now, they can sit at the table, enjoy a good food and talk to themselves about their feelings. Explained Naruto putting his hands to the back of his head. And I thought my dear husband is an idiot, said Lisbeth rolls her eyes to a side. Oi! What the heck is supposed to mean? Yelled Naruto annoyingly. Lisbeth jumped in Naruto's arms and kiss him. After a while, she broke a kiss smiling brightly and said. Nothing, I am just so happy right now, but still I'd like to taste that ragu rabbit too. Naruto just sighed and said, if you want to eat it do bad, I can find it for you. Lisbeth's eyes immediately shine like a star and hold to Naruto's hand and said. Really? You can really catch the ragu rabbit? Naruto just back away a little at her, first time seeing such expression on her face. Yeah. With my luck, I am sure I can catch it, but I will need to go there alone. As it's located at the 57th floor, so it will be dangerous for you to come with me, said Naruto looking at his wife. Lisbeth's eyes has not stopped shining and she said, doesn't matter. You just need to bring the ragu rabbit's meat and I will be satisfied. But if it's an S-class meat then the skill required for preparing it must high too, retort Naruto. Lisbeth just puffed her chest out proudly smirking and said, then you are the lucky one my dear husband, as I have managed to max my cooking skill already. Naruto looks at her impressed. Well, then I will go hunt for that rabbit while you can buy some things you like okay? Said Naruto and transfer a massive amount of coal to her. Lisbeth just looks at the amount wide eyes then turn to Naruto and ask. How do you manage to get this much cash? You probably the richest person I know. Naruto just scratched the back of his head and said, well, because of my luck, I've managed to obtain many rare items. So when I sells them at the auction, they were sold at a very impressive price each. That's why I am so load. Lisbeth screams happily and embraced Naruto. I am really a lucky girl, not only my husband is one of the best in terms of fighting, but he is also load. Naruto just laughed hastily then turned to Liz and kissed her. When he broke the kiss, he said. I will try to return as soon as I can, don't worry okay. Lisbeth blushed at the kiss and nodded her head softly. With that Naruto activate the crystal to teleport to the 74th floor. 74 Forest. Naruto appeared at the forest and began to walk around the forest to search the rabbit. So far he didn't find anything. So he decided to go to the dungeon near there to train himself a little. Dungeon. Naruto cut down one monster after another with basic Batujutsu. After a while, he decided to rest and sit down leans on the wall nearby. Suddenly, he heard footsteps coming to his way. He immediately used his hide skill to hide himself behind the walls. 10 men wearing black clothes with hood covering their face appeared and looking for something. Naruto looks at the hand of one of the men that raised his hand up and noticed the image of a black laughing coffin there. Laughing coffin? What are they doing here? Thought Naruto narrowed his eyes. I heard that the black swordsman was here, but it seems we are late, said one member. Naruto hearing that widened his eyes and thought Kirito was here. Of course, how else can he obtain the ragu rabbit if not training here? Well, what about the Batuse? Will we hunt him too? He is a solo player as well, so he will be an easy prey, said the second member. Don't need to do that. He will come after us eventually. He is a PK hunter after all, said what apparent to be a leader of the guild. Suddenly, Naruto received a signal that message was sent, so he was startled and stepped to a stone caused some noise. The laughing coffin have heard the sound and turned to that direction. The leader then said, Well, we have a rat that likes to eavesdrops. Whoever you are, come out. TCH, said Naruto and decided to come out of his hiding place. The party looks surprises at the presence of Naruto. Oh, what is the infamous Hitakari Batuse doing here? Not hunting for it I hope, said the leader. I came here in search for the ragu rabbit. Never expect to meet you guys here, but if the situation calls for this, then I want you guys either disband the guild or I will eliminate you all here, said Naruto looking seriously. Huh? Do you actually think you have a slightest chance to come out of here alive? We are not like those losers in Titan's Hand, we were all the former solo players. But the Po-san gathered us to form a PK guild. Even with your skill you won't survive here, said one member confidently. You guys didn't just thought that I've stayed the same way I was, didn't you? That time with Titan's Hand, my training was not complete, but it's the other matter now that I've complete my training. Why do you think I can hold this sword in my hand now? Said Naruto then unsheathing the Kusanagi and pointed at the party. The legendary sword, Kusanagi no Tsurugi. So you really did have it. Then after we take care of I will take that sword for myself, said the leader. I've given you two options, but you guys seem to choose the second option. Alright, I am not going to hold back then. With that said, Naruto charged at them, the party also moving forward to intercept him. One member charged ahead holding a battle axe and perform and whirlwind. Naruto jumps back and used Doryasan to knock the axe user away. Suddenly, he saw the shadow behind him and jump up to avoid vertical arc. One member seeing Naruto in midair decide to use this chance and jumps up to use Avalanche. But Naruto see that coming and use Ryutsusen Zan to stab him in the head, preventing the opponent before he can use the skill, thus killing him instantly. The rest seeing one of their comrade has fallen, enraged and all charge at Naruto. Naruto jumps back at the wall and use it as a step stone to push him towards his enemies and perform Ryukansen Arashi to cut down 3 more. The leader rush at Naruto with impressive speed and use horizontal square to hit Naruto in the back. His speed surprised Naruto, so he couldn't manage to dodge in time. Naruto feels the strike on his back and jump backwards and touch his back. You didn't seems that tough as you think. I've managed to strike you means you are not as cool as you think you are. Everybody, let's finish him off, said the leader that shout to fire up the remain members. They seems to fire up and surround Naruto. Naruto looks around him and glared. The 6th laughing coffin members rush at him and all use sonic leap. Naruto's face was shadowed by his bang as he just stand there. The enemies all smirk think that Naruto had given up. Suddenly, Naruto sheathed back the Kusanagi with such speed and force that it create a sonic boom to temporarily stuns his opponents. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryumaisen. Then he charged forward at the opponent before him in Batujutsu stance. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Soryasen. 1. Said Naruto as he slashed at his opponent, destroyed him. Then he rushed at the opponent on his right. Horyuzen. 2. The opponent was cut down instantly while gasping. But before he disappeared he still manages to see Naruto's face before his death. Naruto's face was emotionless and his eyes is gleaming dangerously with bloodlust. Then he turned to the third member that was frozen by fear as he looks at Naruto's eyes. Naruto turned to him change his stance to normal kendo stance. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Kuzuyasen. 3. With that all 9 vital spots was hit on that member, he just managed to gasp in surprise and shattered in blue. Polygon. The remain 3 members looks at Naruto and stutter. He is not human. He is a demon in human flesh. Then they used the teleport crystal to escape. After they left, Naruto's expression returned to normal and he sighed. So troublesome. Who would have thought that I actually will meet those guys here? But first I need to see the message. With that he opens his mailbox and read the message. The message said that Kirito and Asuna decide to party up to train on 74th floor and called him also. So it's time to be on the front line again, huh? Muttered Naruto and decided to go back to the city through a forest. On the way back, he decided to use his searching skills to search for the rabbit. Suddenly, he noticed something in the bush. When it came out of the bush, he noticed that it was a ragu rabbit. There you are, muttered Naruto and used Ryusosen Gurami to cut off its head in instant. Then he came near to pick up the item. Then he proceeded to go to the city. Floor 74 City. Naruto decided to buy his wife some accessories as a gift. He went to the store and bought one necklace with a ruby on it and a bracelet. Time skip. Floor 22 Naruto and Lisbeth's house. Lisbeth is waiting for her husband to return home. She is worried as he has still not returned. Then the door opened and Naruto stepped in. Lisbeth immediately leaped to him and embraced him. I was so worried. What's taking you so long? Asked Lisbeth, holding his face. There is some trouble on the way. But I've dealt with them, said Naruto, scratching his head. Then Lisbeth noticed that his indicator is red, and narrowed her eyes and asked, You've killed someone again? Who was it? Laughing coffin. They tried to take me out though failed. But their leader is pretty tough to manage to strike me at the back, said Naruto, narrowed his eyes remembering that moment. Lisbeth leaves him to the bed, sit down and looks at him with worried eyes. How do you feel now? I am fine. It seems I've gotten used to this, said Naruto, clenching and unclenching his knuckle while looking at it. You shouldn't have gotten used to it. It's bad. Anyway, did you manage to find a ragu rabbit? Naruto smirked and opened his inventory and take out the ragu rabbit meal. Also, I brought you some presents, said Naruto, and take out the necklace and a bracelet. Lisbeth looks at the presents, then kiss Naruto. When they broke the kiss, she smiles softly at him. You are so sweet, Naruto. I will return to frontline tomorrow. Kirito had sent me a message that he and Asuna has party up and call me to join them to train at the 74th floor. Though there is a chance that we will find a boss room, said Naruto, looking at Liz. Well, let's cook the ragu rabbit, said Lisbeth, standing up and go to the kitchen. She put all the ingredient from her inventory and begin to cut them. Then she put all the ingredients to the bowl and put them in a stove. After waiting several minutes for it to cook, she calls Naruto to the table and they began to eat it. After the meal, Naruto and Lisbeth decide for a little night walk. Just be careful on the front line, okay? I know you are strong, but still, said Lisbeth, turning to Naruto with worried face. Don't worry. I will be with Kirito and Asuna the whole time. Just wait for the good news, that we've cleared the game, said Naruto and brought a thumbs up. Time skip. Floor 74 Camdet. Naruto appeared right in front of the gate of Camdet. Then he looks ahead and nearly falling to the ground laughing. On the ground, Asuna is lying above Kirito so that her figure hide his face. Kirito is still sleepy and he noticed something soft in his hand, thus he began grope it and try to understand what is it. Asuna begin to scream with a red face and strike Kirito to wall. That moment Naruto can't hold himself back any longer and begin to laugh, holding to his stomach. Then he rubbed his eyes and his vision begin cleared. He looks to the ground and see Asuna covering herself with a red angry face. Then he heard a laugher and turned to the left to see Naruto is laughing hysterically. Just then he realized what he had done. Ha ha ha. I see you has grown bolder during the time I absence, Kirito. You are really had the balls of steel to grope Asuna in front this crowd, said Naruto, trying to suppress his laughing. Then he received a glare from Kirito and Asuna. Suddenly, the teleport circle appear. Asuna seeing that immediately run to Kirito to hide behind his back. Naruto turned to the circle to see who it is. From the circle came a man with long hair in a uniform of Knights of Blood Oath. Asuna-sama, you shouldn't be here. Let's head back to the guild. No way, I don't need you to follow everywhere I go. And why the heck do you stand at my house too early in the morning? Said Asuna, annoyed, still hiding behind Kirito. Naruto looks at the man and feels a bad vibe coming from him and narrowed his eyes. I thought that you would do something like this, so I decided to watch over you from Selmberg for the last month, said the man. Asuna retort that the commander didn't order to do that, but the man just said that is his duty to protect her. Then he come near Kirito and forcefully dragging Asuna from Kirito's back. But Kirito won't allow that and grabbed the man's hand, then turned to the man and said, Sorry, but today I will accompany you, Vice Commander. I will be responsible for her safety, so you can return back to guild now. The man freeing his hand and shout at Kirito, There is no way a rookie player like you can protect her. I am the member of the Honorable Guild Knights of Blood Oath. I am the one that should protect her. Kirito just narrowed his eyes and said, I can do a much better job in protecting her than you. The man feels enraged and challenged Kirito to a duel. Then proves to me that you are worthy by winning this duel. Kirito looks surprised at the challenge, then looks at Asuna worriedly. Asuna just nod her head. Oi, Kirito. Just kick his ass already. Shout Naruto. Only then the crowd notice the presence of Naruto and begin to murmur to themselves. Look, the Hitokari Batuse is here too. What is he doing here? Did he plan to kill someone? Kirito accepts the challenge to unsheathing his sword from his back. They wait for the timer to pass and charge at each other. Kirito using vertical to slash up while the man also use vertical but slash down. When the two sword clash against each other, the man's sword has broke. The man fell to his knees in shock, then Kirito said that he can take another weapon out or called it a day. The man immediately took out the other weapon and charged forward. But a shadow appeared before him with a blade near his neck. You have lost this duel. Now get lost, said Naruto looking down at the man, his eyes gleaming dangerously. The crowd seeing Naruto suddenly appeared at the duel and murmured to themselves again. The Hitokuri Batuse has interfered. Is he actually after the members of Knights of Blood Oath? Maybe he want to capture Asuna-san, then do dirty things to her. Naruto hearing that, lost his dangerous face and slammed himself to the ground. The man glared at Kirito hatefully, but when glancing at Naruto feeling a great amount of fear. Then Asuna came and ordered to him to return to the guild and relieve him from the duty to protect her, as a vice commander of the guild. The man just glared hatefully at Kirito one last time and go to teleport place and teleport away. Naruto come near Asuna and ask her. Who was that guy? He is Kuradil, the member of Knights of Blood Oath like me, though he can be annoying. I don't like him. Just looking at him gives me a bad vibe, said Naruto seriously. Then Asuna turned to Naruto and asked. How is Liz? Also, why did you guys didn't come when I invited to taste the ragu rabbit? Well, we actually have a personal reason not to come. About the ragu rabbit. I already tasted it, said Naruto, then wink at Asuna. How do you manage to find it? I thought it was very rare, asked Asuna with wide eyes. Kirito just looks at Naruto with a tick in his forehead and said. We are talking about Naruto here, Asuna. His lux is off the charts. I am sure that Lisbeth is the happiest wife on earth now that she became his wife. As Naruto is the richest person in this game. Asuna looks at Naruto with wide eyes. Naruto just close his eyes smirking and show a victory sign. Anyway, let's go guys, said Kirito. With that they proceed to go to the labyrinth. Kirito and Asuna sit down and lean to the wall nearby. Naruto turns to look at the closed door of the boss room. That looks like a tough one, said Asuna. At first glance, it seems that it only has a huge sword, but I bet it still had a special attack up its sleeves, said Kirito closing his eyes. All we can do is gather some vets from front lines and keep switching, said Asuna looking at Kirito and sigh, but Naruto decided to speak that moment. Only if those vets are tanks, then me and Kirito may have a chance at defeating it. I fought with Demon General and nearly died from just one of its special attack. The normal vets won't be of any help, said Naruto turning to Asuna. Then Asuna remember the sword that Kirito obtained from Lisbeth and narrow her eyes at Kirito. Kirito glancing sideways nervously at her and asked, why are you looking like that? You are hiding something, right? For what do you need the second sword? So suspicious? Said Asuna, then glanced down at Kirito. Kirito feeling uncomfortable turned his head away. They stay for like that a while until Asuna bright up and said. Well, whatever. It's rude to ask the people's skill choice. Then Asuna opens her inventory to brought out the lunch. I know it's kinda late, but how about lunch you too? Asks Asuna and looks to Kirito and Naruto. Is it something you made? Asked Kirito looking wide eyes at Asuna. What is so special about her cooking? Asked Naruto curiously and raised his brow. You don't know? Asuna's cooking is top notch. You need to taste some if get cooking, said Kirito looking at Naruto like he is crazy. Well, Liz is pretty skilled at cooking too. But I am a little hungry, so I think I'll taste your lunch now, said Naruto sitting down near them. Then Asuna gives the two sandwiches. They take it and begin to eat. Kirito bite a piece and exclaim. So good. Asuna just smiled pleasingly, then turned to Naruto and asked. So how is it, Naruto? Is it better than Liz's cooking? Naruto swallow the food and say. Well, I've only tasted the stew of ragu rabbit from Liz and it was pretty good. But this sandwich is also very tasty. Then some people come out from a teleport circle. Kirito, Asuna and Naruto turn to the sound of the step and see that's the members from Furinkazan. Kirito looks at the person in the center and recognize him as Klein. Klein and his party were very tired and just walking ahead. Then Klein opens his eyes and recognizes the person in front of him. Whoa, Kirito. It's been so long, man, said Klein, widened his eyes, then smiled. Kirito advert his eyes a little, then say, Ah, you are still alive, Klein? Klein come near him and say, "You are as rude as ever, Kirito." Then he looks at the girl that is standing and the guy that is sitting and looks at him. "It's been a while, Klein, how've you been?" asked Naruto standing up. Klein looks at him with wide unbelieving eyes. "Why you are?" And Naruto, Hitakari Batuse, what are doing here? The rest of the party hearing the name Hitakari Batuse and begin to widen their eyes and murmur to each other. "Hey, you hear that? The Hitakari Batuse is here. If we don't get out of here he is gonna kill us all." Naruto just facepalm and sigh then mutter. "When will they learn that I am killing only PK players?" Klein hearing that sighing in relief then turned to Kirito and asked. "You were always solo. Why suddenly Hitakari Batuse and this hot girl is with you?" Then Kirito introduced Klein and Asuna again to each other. Klein began to introduce himself and say something like, "Currently single and in searching for a girlfriend." Kirito hearing that punch him in the stomach, while Naruto laughing lying in the ground. The party seeing the leader was knocked down began to come near to surround Kirito. Then they looked closely at Asuna and finally able to recognize her. Kirito prevent them from coming near Asuna. Then Asuna laughing out loud and covering her mouth. "What's going on, Kirito?" Klein whispered to Kirito. "Well," Kirito say sweat dropping. "We're just partying to train a little. That's all," Naruto say, then standing up and clear the dust from his star deity cloak. Then they heard more footsteps coming this way and turned to look at the direction. There's some people with heavy armor coming their way. Kirito recognized them as the army. They're actually the Aincrad Liberation Force. They were the largest guild, consist of over 3,000 players. But after the heavy loss to clearing on the 25th floor, they've been focusing on strengthening their organization. Suddenly, the commander ordered them to stop to rest. The remained soldiers slumping to the ground tiredly. Then the commander come near Kirito to introduce himself. "I am Lieutenant Colonel Corbots from ALF. I am Kirito, I am solo. Have you ventured far than this?" "Yeah, we've mapped out the area to the boss room." "Then I'd like you to give me that map data." Asuna, Kirito and Klein hearing that surprise. Klein asked angrily. "You want that for free? Do you know how hard it is to map the air? We divide information and resources equally to all, maintain order and fight to free players from this world ASAP. Cooperating with us is only natural," retort Corbots. Suddenly, he heard a laugh coming from the back of Kirito. Kirito, Asuna and Klein look back, wonder why Naruto is laughing. "What are you laughing at?" asked Corbots angrily. Naruto suppress his laughter and say, "You guys may be the largest guild before, but not now. After the foolish mistake of your leader, that arrogant bastard Kibao, you guys have lost about 80% of your force. Now you guys standing there and dare to demand something from us," said Naruto with a bored look. Corbots hearing that grit his teeth and was just about to unsheath his sword. Kirito raised his hand up and then turned to Naruto. "That's enough, Naruto, you shouldn't provoke him like that." Naruto just looks the other way, mutter, "Shay." Then he turned to Corbots and say, "Okay. I will share the map data with you. I plan to make it public anyway when we got back to the city." Then he opens menu and transfer the data to Corbots. Klein turned to Kirito and sigh. "You being way too nice, Kirito." After the transferring was complete, Corbots turned to leave and say, "I appreciate for your cooperating." Before he go too far, Naruto step out from behind and say, "If you fools are thinking of fighting the boss, don't bother. You don't stand a chance at even to injure him." Corbots turn to Naruto with grit teeth and say, "That's for me to decide, your heartless killer. We've just checked the boss room. There is no way you guys can stand a chance with only that fewer people. And your men are already all exhausted," said Kirito. Try to make Corbots to change the decision. Corbots turn to Kirito and shout, "My men aren't weak enough to give up from something so trivial." Then he turned to his men and command, "You all, stand up already." The men all stand up and begin to move backwards, but before they go too far they heard, "Your foolish decision will cause you all to die." They turn back and see that Naruto is looking at them. Corbots just glare at Naruto one last time, then he and his troops move away. When they left, Klein asked, "Is it alright to leave them like that?" "Well, it's not like they will head to the boss room right away, after we give them the warning," said Asuna. "Let's have a look, just in case," proposed Kirito. The Fuurinkazan member just smile at the proposition. Naruto decide to walk ahead of them. Time skip on the way to the boss room. The party doesn't need to do anything, as Naruto, that was walking ahead of them, had to feed all the monsters in front of them. Klein looks at Naruto nervously, then turned to Kirito to whisper to him. Was that true that Naruto has single-handedly defeated the demon general on the 60th floor? Kirito glanced sideways and answers, then sigh. Yeah, though he nearly died in the process. Still to fight a boss solo. That guy sometimes is crazy beyond imagination. Then they heard a scream coming from the direction of the boss room. Naruto narrowed his eyes and rushed there. Wait for us, Naruto! Asuna shout, and she with Kirito running to catch up to Naruto. Boss room. Naruto arrives and looks at the scene before him. The soldiers were lying on the ground covering themselves, as Gleam Eyes is looking down at them. Idiots! Muttered Naruto with grit teeth. Asuna and Kirito also arrives and see the scene. Suddenly, the boss swing his huge sword at one of the soldier, cause him to fly and then shatter to blue polygon. What the heck are doing? Quick, use the teleport crystal, yelled Kirito. We can't. It won't work here, said one soldier. Then the one standing near him was crashed down by the swing of the sword. Kirito widened his eyes at that fact. Naruto turned to Kirito and say. It's just like that time, Kirito. If I wasn't appeared there in time, all those people will all be dead. Kirito remembered that time with the moonlit black cat, and if Naruto didn't appear back then, the others would have been dead. We, the Alph, will not suffer the shame of defeat again, shouted Corbots. Fight! We must fight! He shouted and pointing his sword at the boss. What the heck are you doing? Retreat immediately, don't you see that you have zero chance at defeating the boss? Do you want all of your men to die here? Shouted Naruto angrily at Corbots. Shut up! We will never suffer the shame of defeat again, shouted Corbots. Then he ordered to his men to attack the boss and charge forward. Kirito trying to stop them but is too late. Gleam Eyes just looks at those foolish humans that dared to attack him, with his glowing blue eyes. Then he breathes blue fire and use a skill and swing his huge sword horizontally and cause the soldiers to collapse to the ground. Then he slashes up and sends Corbots fly up high in the air, to crash down heavily to the ground. Kirito goes to him to checks him. The helmet of Corbots shatter, exposing his wide eyes. This can't be, said Corbots before shattering to blue polygons. Asuna looks down horrifying and covering her mouth. Then they heard a scream. The boss is towering over one soldier and he is sitting on the ground helplessly. Just as the boss decide to finish him off, Asuna jumps at its back and use linear to stab at its back. Kirito and Klein looks wide eyes and charge forward to assist Asuna. Naruto also decide to act to run up the walls and jumps to the boss head from behind. Gleam Eyes feelings the attack at his turn back, to slash behind and punching Asuna to fly back to the ground. Then it begin to towering Asuna. Asuna wide her eyes but then looks up and see Naruto in midair, then heard. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryutsusen. Naruto manages to slash down at the boss face. Gleam Eyes roaring in pain the breathes the fire at Naruto. In midair and in such a close distance, Naruto can't dodge the attack and was hit by it. Ah! Screamed Naruto and crashing to the ground. Kirito and Asuna looks at the crashing form of Naruto and shout. Naruto! Just as Gleam Eyes was about to slash down at Naruto, Kirito appear before him to deflect the strike. While Kirito and the others are fighting the boss, Klein and the others use that chance to bring the remaining soldiers to a safe place. Kirito is fighting the boss one-on-one, while Naruto is still recovering from the attack. Gleam Eyes slash down at Kirito, but Kirito tries to hold off. But doing so causes his HP to drop drastically. At this rate, muttered Kirito with his eyes half closed, then he heard. Kirito, switch. He turned and see Naruto standing up with his hair covering his eyes. Kirito did as he was told and Naruto charged forward, exposing his cold blue eyes with a dangerous gleam. Gleam Eyes see the opponent charge at him and intercept him. But that just what Naruto wants as him jumps up and avoid the strike so that he jumps past him and begin to spin. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryukansen. With that the boss was strike to the back, and roaring in pain. But it quickly swing his huge sword around causing Naruto to deflect the strike, though doing do send him flying. Then the boss breath fire at Naruto. The same trick won't work on me twice. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Doryasen. The debris attack caused by Doryasen has manages to deflect the fire breath. The others just looks at the battle with wide unbelievable eyes. Klein mutter. Is this what the infamous Hitakari Batuse capable of? I know Naruto is strong, but to see him hold off against the boss and actually manages to injure it. Muttered Asuna with wide eyes. But he won't be able to hold it up for long. Just look at his HP point. said Kirito. Asuna looks at Naruto's HP and horrifying as his HP is in the red zone already. Kirito looks at Asuna and Klein and say, I am going to help Naruto out now, please hold it off for 10 seconds for me. Naruto drinks the potion then jumps backwards to use Ryomycin to stun it for seconds. Naruto. Switch with me. Shouted Asuna and Naruto did as he was told. She and Klein hold it off for 10 seconds. Then Kirito shout from behind. I am ready. Naruto looks at Kirito and see he takes out the dark repulsor from his back. He smirk and turn to Asuna and say. Asuna. Switch back with me. Asuna looks surprised then try to ask. But you. Naruto closes his eyes and looks at her smirking. Judy switch back and you will witness something amazing called, Strongest Duo. Kirito charge forward with 2 swords in hand. Starburst stream. Shouted Kirito and deals a multi-strikes at Gleam Eyes. Naruto charge from behind and shout, Hidden Mugen Zan. The boss couldn't do anything as the strikes were so fast and from both sides. The others looking at what is happening with dumb face. Is this the combined strength of Black Swordsman and Hitakari Batuse? It's just unreal. Muttered Klein with wide eyes and open mouth, as are the others as well. Naruto looks at Kirito's HP bar and shout. Falls back, Kirito. You are at limits. I have a move that will finish him off right now. Kirito looks with one of his eyes, as the other was close from exhaustion. He nods and jumps back to Asuna and the others, but still not taking his eyes of the battle. Asuna rushed to him to check if he is okay then turned to Naruto and asked worriedly. Will he be okay now? Kirito still looks at the battle smiles tiredly. Yeah, if he say that he will finish it off, then it will be done. He is Hitakari Batuse after all. With the battle Naruto change his stance to a normal kendo stance and close his eyes. Gleam Eyes just cooks his head back not understanding why his opponent chose to just stand there. Then brought his huge sword up high preparing for the finish strike. The others just widening their eyes. Klein shouts worriedly. What the heck is he doing? Just standing in a normal kendo stance and closing his eyes like that. Is he suicide or something? Kirito just turns to looks at Naruto and smirks. No, this is the preparation for the finish strike. Gleam Eyes slashes down his sword at Naruto. Asuna covering her face not wants to see the scene. Suddenly, Naruto snaps open his eyes. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Kuzuyasen. With that all the 9 vital points were strike at once. The others widen their eyes at seeing the move, even Kirito. The boss stands still for minutes then shatters to blue polygons. The panel with congratulations appear. Naruto sigh tiredly and sit down to the ground. The others begin to cheer and come to him to congratulate him. Suddenly, he feels a strike to his head and turn around to see Asuna is looking at him with angry eyes. What did I do? Asked Naruto while rubbing his head. How dare you scared us to death, with that last moves? We all thinks you were gonna be dead that moment. Shouted Asuna glaring at him. That was the trick. To scare you guys then defeat the boss. I am the prankster at Heat after all. Smirking Naruto and bring a thumbs up. Kirito just sigh at Naruto's foolishness. You know. You really are, Asuna glared at him for a while then smirks. Oh, what will your dear wife say, if I told her that her husband nearly died on the battle today? Naruto hearing that immediately paled and begged her not told Lisbeth anything. Asuna looks at Kirito and shows a victory sign. Wait. You mean Naruto is married? When the heck did that happen? Asked Klein and pointing a shaky finger at Naruto with wide eyes. Yeah, he married my best friend, said Asuna rolls her eyes. You lucky son of a bitch, Naruto, I don't even have a girlfriend and you already are married, shouted Klein with crying face while holding his collar and shaking him. I am not at fault that you still don't have a girlfriend, said Naruto while he is being shaken by Klein. Well, we will part ways here, and I want to see your wife next time we meet, said Klein and turns back to leave with the others from his guild. Before he leaves he turns back to Kirito and say. Kirito, I am glad that you decide to help those people. Then he turns to Naruto and say, you too, Naruto, I am just glad that you are not like those rumors say. With that, he and the rest of his guild left. Naruto turns to Kirito and Asuna and request. I am returning to Liz now. Do you two want to come as well? We bought a cabin at the village in the 22th floor. Kirito and Asuna look at each other and nod, time skip. Floor. 22 Naruto and Lisbeth's house. Lisbeth receives a message from Naruto that he is returning with Kirito and Asuna. The doors opens and Naruto steps in. Lisbeth immediately jumps to his arms and kiss him deeply. Kirito and Asuna looking at the scene and feels weird, so they look away. When Liz broke the kiss, she smiles softly and say, "Welcome home, my darling." Then she looks back and see Kirito and Asuna. "Oh, Kirito, Asuna, it's been a while." Asuna go to Liz to hug her. "Yeah, it's been a while. So how is your merry life?" Lisbeth just smirks and say, "I lives like a queen now. Naruto-kun is so low that I can afford anything. I just forging weapons now if I don't have anything to do." You know I am pretty jealous, seeing you this happy," said Asuna with half-lit eyes. "Oh no you are not, Naruto is mine now. You have Kirito already," said Liz crossing her hands and looks at Naruto protectively. What, there is nothing going on with me and Kirito-kun. Also I didn't mean something like that," shouted Asuna embarrassed with blush face. Yeah, said Liz, rolls her eyes. "Look, there is news about the battle in the boss room," said Naruto reading a newspaper. Kirito go behind him to read. The blue-eyed demon, that destroyed all the army force, was taken down by Hitakari Batuse with 9 strike to the vital points at once. And black swordsman wielding 2 swords and strike 50 hit combo. Read Naruto, then he facepalm and put his head to the table. So troublesome. With this it's just cause more problems. Kirito just looks at Naruto and laughing nervously. Haha. Haha. Then Asuna receives the message from her commander. She read and turned to Naruto and Kirito to say worriedly. "Naruto, Kirito. Things just get out of hands. What is wrong, Asuna?" asked Liz worriedly. The commander demand Kirito and Naruto to meet up at the HQ to ask the reason why they took me away. After agreeing to the condition of the duel, Heathcliff said that the duel will be at Colonia. The people heard that there will be a duel between the commander of Kobo and the black swordsman Kirito, so they all gathered themselves here and waiting for the duel in anticipation. At the back of arena Asuna is scream at Kirito for his stupidity, while Naruto is crossing his hands and eyes leaning to the wall. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Why would you agree to that? And you too Naruto, do you really think you could defeat the commander? He is a commander for a reason, you know. She turned her head to Naruto to lecture him with a scowling face. Naruto opens his eyes and turned to Asuna to say, "He may not win against Kirito, so maybe I won't need to fight him. But if he does win, then..." Suddenly, Naruto's eyes gleaming dangerous with so much bloodlust that Asuna and Kirito widen their eyes and take a step back. "I will not hesitate to use my full power on him. In this world, only him and Kirito can force me to use my full power." Then his eyes return to normal. Asuna and Kirito breath out in relief. Asuna then turned to Kirito and say, "When I see you use dual wielding, I thought your strength was a tier on its own. But the commander has a unique skill too." Kirito look ahead seriously and say, "Yeah, I've seen a few times. Divine Blade, a skill that maximizes both attacks and defense. The increasing in attack is impressive, but the boost of defense even more so. I've heard that his HP bar never even reach yellow zone," said Naruto look at the ceiling with serious face. Then he turns to Kirito and say, "This will be tough, Kirito. Maybe even tougher than fighting bosses. But I believe in you. Also maybe watching your battle, I can find his weakness." Kirito then looks up at Naruto and smirks. "Yeah, I am not going down without a fight. I will try to expose his weakness as well. But it will be tough, I know for sure. His defense is practically impenetrable." Naruto put his hand on Kirito's shoulder and smiles. "Just do your best." Kirito looks at Naruto determined and say, "Yeah." At the arena the people is cheering loudly for the two persons standing at the middle of arena. Kirito and Heathcliff standing face to face. Heathcliff says and looks around the arena at all the people that surround them. "I am sorry, Kirito. I didn't realize this will be such a big deal." "I receive a percentage of the entrance fee," said Kirito looking at Heathcliff. "No, after our fight you will be a member of my guild, so is your friend Naruto. I'll treat this as a mission," said Heathcliff prepared to start a duel, but Kirito interrupted him. "About Naruto. Why did you challenge him to a duel? You knew perfectly well that Naruto hasn't do anything and involving to take Asuna away, it's all me. So why did you challenge him?" asked Kirito narrowing his eyes suspiciously. Heathcliff looks at Kirito then Naruto, that is stand far away from them at the back and answer. That's right, I know from the very beginning that Naruto-kun hasn't do anything in taking Asuna away. But I have a reason of my own to battle him. Also, if Elv managed to make Naruto-kun to join my guild too, then we will be unstoppable. Heathcliff opens the menu and challenges Kirito to a duel. Kirito receives the invitation and press accept. Naruto is watching at the both of them with serious face. The timer begin to tick and the count go down. Kirito prepares to unsheath both of his blades, while Heathcliff prepares to unsheath his blade from the shield. When the countdown went to 0, Naruto mutters, "It's begun." With that, Kirito rush at Heathcliff with impressive speed and stab forward. Heathcliff just raise his shield calmly to protect himself from the attack. Kirito begin to slash rapidly using both swords. But all the attacks were useless, as Heathcliff just blocks all with his shield. Seeing an opening in Kirito's defense, Heathcliff slash up at the opening force. Kirito jumps back in surprise. Naruto, not taking his eyes even for a minute from the fight, continued to analyzes the battle. Not even a slightest opening in his stance. "What will you do now, Kirito?" Seeing Kirito jumps back, Heathcliff decide to change to offense and charge forward and using his shield to strike Kirito in the gut. The attack caused Kirito to fly back at a certain distance. Heathcliff continued to charge forward. Kirito grit his teeth angrily and activates Starburst Stream to attacks rapidly. But Heathcliff just blocks all the strikes with his shield. "Excellent reflex." Heathcliff praised Kirito. "You too. And that shield of yours is strong like hell," replied Kirito, smirking back. With that, the two charge at each other with blurred speed and slash at each other. One trying to slash at each other and dodging the opponent's strike at the same time. Kirito increases speed in the slash, but Heathcliff also increasing on his attacks but also with his shield to deflect Kirito's attacks. Asuna watching the battle and clutching her hand nervously. "Kirito-kun. Are you worried about him?" asked Naruto, still looking at the fight. Asuna turns to Naruto and answer. "Of course, I am. And why do you so calm? Didn't you worry about Kirito-kun too?" "Just believe in him," said Naruto, glanced sideways to Asuna. Suddenly, Kirito stabs forward quickly when Heathcliff tilts his head aside and manages to injure him. Then he continues to attack even more faster, rushing at the shield to break through. Kirito's rapid strikes manages to break through the shield, and cause Heathcliff to lean back and grit his teeth. Then just as Kirito about to slash down at Heathcliff for a second, but he was stunning. But that second was enough for Heathcliff to move his shield to block the strike. Kirito widened his eyes, surprise and shock. In the back, Naruto also noticed something was wrong and narrows his eyes. It's not imagination. For a second, Kirito was stunned, and because of that Heathcliff manages to avoid the strike. What the heck is going on there? Heathcliff sidesteps Kirito and stabs him at the shoulder. Because of the shock that he still has not recovered, Kirito couldn't dodge the strike and was stabbed. The strike was powerful enough to send him to the ground. Then the panel appears to declare Heathcliff the winner of the duel. The people bag in cheering loudly. Kirito just look up at Heathcliff in surprise. Naruto come out from the back, moves to Kirito. He gives Kirito a hand to helps him stand up and say, "Good job, Kirito. I will take over from here." Kirito grabs Naruto's hand and stand up, then turn to Naruto seriously. "Be careful, his defense is top-notch. I barely able to break through." "Yeah, thanks for the warning. Go to Asuna immediately, she is worried sick about you," said Naruto and walked to the center of arena. Heathcliff turns to Naruto and say, "I can finally measure my strength with a man that is called Hirakuri Batuse. With this win, you will join guild and we will be unstoppable." Naruto just closes his eyes and smirks. "I have no intention to lose. I've made a promise to my sensei that I will be number one. And I plan on keeping that promise. We will see about that. But first I want to change a weapon. You don't mind, right?" asked Heathcliff, looking at Naruto. Naruto just looks surprises but say, "Yeah, I don't mind. Just change to any weapon you like. Then I will return in a minute, as this gear is not for this weapon." With that, Heathcliff go to the back to change. The people, hearing that there will be extra fight between Heathcliff and Hirakuri Batuse, begin to cheer even louder. Asuna near Kirito is asking if he was okay. Kirito just nod his head, then ask Asuna, "Did you, Commander, use the other weapon before? Why he decide to change Naruto with different weapon and gear?" Asuna shakes her head and answer, "I don't know. It actually the first time I am hearing that the commander can use his other weapon." Some minutes had passed, and finally Heathcliff walks out in a kimono with some guard piece on his clothes, and in his hand is a katana. Naruto just looks at him with narrows eyes. Sorry, for making you wait, Naruto-kun. But now I am ready, said Heathcliff, standing with Naruto face to face now. Kirito and Asuna looks at each other surprised, as that was the first time they saw the commander wearing something and holding anything other than the sword in a shield. The countdown begun its count, both Naruto and Heathcliff changes to their stance. But when Naruto looks at the stance that Heathcliff's take, his eyes widen like dinner plates, and so is Kirito, as they recognize the stance. It was the basic Batujutsu stance that Naruto is taking right now also. How? Why? How do you know that stance? Are you also? Shouted Naruto, shocked, then his eyes widen in realization. That's right, Naruto-kun. It's as you were thinking. I also managed to find that cave. I am also the hidden Mitsurugi Ryu user, said Heathcliff, smirking at Naruto's shock face. At the stand, Kirito and Asuna, all the people there, is shocked at this fact as well. I thought Naruto was the only user of that style, but to think the commander is hiding this style, muttered Kirito, widened his eyes at shock. Yeah, it shocks me as well. I think this fact has shocks all the players. But Naruto even more so, said Asuna, still shocked, and turns to watch at Naruto's expression. Lisbeth, sitting somewhere in the stand, looking at Naruto worriedly. Naruto-kun. At the arena, Naruto still shocks at the seeing, then he glares at Heathcliff and shout. That's not possible. I won't accept this. I am the only user of this style. Heathcliff just smirks back at Naruto and say, seems that fact that I am using this style had shocked you. I'll make you join my guild, Naruto-kun. Naruto's hair shadowed his eyes and the air around him seems colder. The people in the stand that was far behind could still felt the shiver ran down their spine. Naruto looks up with his cold blue eye and say emotionlessly. The fact that you are using this style won't change anything. I will annihilate you for being a copycat. Naruto charges forward at Heathcliff like a bullet. Heathcliff pointing the tip of his katana to the ground and slash up. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Doryasan. The debris wave caused by Doryasan immediately heads to Naruto. Naruto jumps aside to avoid the wave. Heathcliff charge forward and use Ryukansen, Sumuji, and spin like a drill at Naruto. Naruto not hesitate to use Ryukansen, Kogarashi, to blast Heathcliff away. Heathcliff being blasted away by Ryukansen. Kogarashi grunt a little. Then he looks ahead to see Naruto charge at him in a Batujutsu stance. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Horyuzen. Naruto rotates rapidly and shoots the sheath at Heathcliff. Heathcliff manages to jump backwards to dodge. I will take things seriously from here, said Heathcliff, narrowing his eyes, and charges at Naruto at blurred speed. Naruto was shocked at the increasing at the speed that he barely able to deflect hidden Mugen Zan of Heathcliff's, but the force that Heathcliff applied still sent Naruto flying. Naruto stand up from the ground and glares at Heathcliff. Heathcliff looks down at Naruto and asks, will you surrender now, Naruto-kun? You can't win against me. I am the true master of hidden Mitsurugi Ryu. Naruto hearing that shouts back, I am not going to lose to you. I will prove to you that I am the only successor to this style. Then he charges forward with a speed that Heathcliff is barely able to see. Naruto appears behind Heathcliff and uses Ryusosen to strike his opponent's back. Heathcliff couldn't dodge the strike in time, as Naruto's was increased. He slashes back, but Naruto jumps in the sky and shouts. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryutsusen. Heathcliff dodged to a side and waiting for Naruto to land to perform Ryukansen. But Naruto expected this and brought his sword to the back to deflect the strike. In the stand, all the people just watching the fight in excitement. They knew that the fight will be good, but they never expected it to be this good. I can't believe Naruto is holding his own against the commander. Even though the commander uses the same style, said Kirito, not taking his eyes of the fight. Yeah, Naruto is really amazing. Never seeing anyone that go toe-to-toe with the commander, said Asuna in awe. Lisbeth sitting in her sit smiling and looking down at the battling figure of Naruto and say softly. I believe in you, Naruto-kun. With the fight, Heathcliff seeing his strike miss, grit his teeth, then charge at Naruto and uses Ryukansen. Arashi. Naruto uses his own Ryukansen. Arashi to deflect the attacks. Heathcliff increasing his speed to appears behind Naruto and mutters. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Soryasen. Ikazuki. Naruto manages to dodges the first strike, but he couldn't dodge the strike that was being drawn from the sheath. As a result, he was sent flying to the wall. Kuso. That was pretty hard strike, muttered Naruto, opened one of his eye. Then he noticed the stance that Heathcliff and looks in horror. Heathcliff has changed his Batujutsu stance to normal Kenjutsu stance. In the stand, Kirito and Asuna recognize the stance and widen in horror. That stance. He will performs that move that Naruto uses against Gleam Eyes, said Asuna, turning to Kirito worriedly. Yeah, no doubt it's that move. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Kuzuryasen. The move that strikes all 9 vital spots once with God's speed, said Kirito, narrowing his eyes, then turned to look at Naruto. What will you do now, Naruto? Can you really dodge this technique? With the fight, Heathcliff stand in a normal Kenjutsu stance and looks at Naruto. It's over, Naruto-kun. Kuzuryasen is the ultimate move that can't be dodged. You can't win against me now. As a hidden Mitsurugi Ryu user, you also know that, right? Naruto looks at Heathcliff silently for a minute, then decide to reply. Yes, it's true that Kuzuryasen can't be dodged if I am not faster than the user. But, do you really think that Kirito is the only one with extra skill? Ask Naruto and point the tip of his foot to the ground, then begin to tap the ground. Heathcliff, hearing that, widen his eyes, then smirks and turns to Naruto to say. You are bluffing. You don't have extra skill, but even if you had it, that won't help you to avoid Kuzuryasen. We'll see, said Naruto, still tap the ground with his foot. At the stand, Kirito, hearing Naruto's declaration that he has extra skill, also surprised at that. Asuna turns to Kirito to ask. Do you know that Naruto has extra skill, Kirito-kun? Kirito shakes his head and say. No, I didn't know that he has extra skill. Though I am curious. What kind of skill is that? Then Kirito looks back at the arena, with the fight. Heathcliff decide to warn Naruto one last time. It's your last chance, Naruto-kun. Surrender, or pay the consequence. I am never gonna give up, shouted Naruto. So be it, hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Kuzuryasen. 9 strikes flying at Naruto at once. All the people's hearts stop for a minute looking at the scene before them. Lisbeth just covering her face with her hands. Kirito and Asuna shout Naruto's name. Suddenly, Naruto disappears right before the strikes could hit him. The ground was crashed down by an unknown force. Heathcliff widened his eyes at shock and surprise. The invisible force moves to Heathcliff with such speed that it tearing the ground while moving. Naruto appears right in front of a shock face of Heathcliff and say. Hidden Mitsurugi Ryu Ryushosen. Then strike Heathcliff to the jaw with such force that sends him high in the sky. Then Heathcliff crashed down heavily to the ground and lying motionlessly. Naruto is kneeling on the ground, panting heavily. What was that move? Asked Heathcliff weakly. Naruto turns to him and looks down at him and answers. The extra skill that improves speed to inhuman level Shukuchi. Heathcliff, hearing that, smiles tiredly. Well, you've won, congratulations. Never expect you to have such move. Don't put yourself down. You're the toughest opponent that I've ever fought. The bosses are just a joke compared to you, said Naruto, looking at Heathcliff respectfully. Haha, thanks for the compliment then. But Kirito will join my guild from now, said Heathcliff, looking at Naruto. Yeah, a deal is a deal after all. Well, I will go now then. With that said, Naruto turns to leave. The crowd is cheering loudly at Naruto and clapping their hands, applauding him. Kirito and Asuna rush to him to congratulate him. Then he feels someone embracing him from behind. He turns back and sees that Liz is embracing him. I was so worried for you. How dare you do something as foolish that accepting the challenge to the duel from a commander of the strongest guild. Naruto just smiles tiredly and hugs her back. I'll not do something like this again. This is the last time, I promise. Then Kirito decides to ask and looks at him annoyed. And why didn't you tell any of us that you had extra skill? Naruto scratching his head and sweat dropping. Oops, forget? Asuna just looks at him with annoying expression, then grabs her forehead and sigh. You really are. But now Kirito must join the Kobo, as he lose the duel, said Naruto, looking at Kirito. Well, it can't be helped. I've lose the duel after all. We will head to the HQ right now. What about you? Said Kirito, then turns to Naruto to ask him. Naruto looks at Liz and say. I will spend some time with Liz. Then take care of yourself, said Kirito. Then he and Asuna walk away. When they left, Naruto turns to Liz and say. Well, let's return to our home. I think you should cook something awesome to celebrate my victory, don't you think? Lisbeth smirks at Naruto and lean on his shoulder. I am very lazy right now, so we will go to the most luxurious restaurant to celebrate, okay? Naruto rolls his eyes at that, but nod his head. With that, the two went to the teleport zone and teleport away. After the fight at Colonia, Kirito and Asuna have come to Algadi, on of the Kobo base. Kirito looks at himself in a new uniform and sigh. Didn't I request something that wasn't so flashy? It's one of the least flashy design. And you look great in this, said Asuna, clap her hands and closing her eyes, smiling. Then Kirito falls on his back to the bed and mutters. A guild, huh? I didn't mean to drag you into this, said Asuna, looking at Kirito. No, it was good time. I was just about at limit what I could solo, said Kirito, and rise up. Hearing that actually makes me feels better, replied Asuna. Then she looks down to the ground to think for a minute and decide to ask. Hey, Kirito-kun. Why are you avoiding to join guilds? And other people too. I refuse to believe that you were a beta tester with unique skill. Right? You are a kind person. Kirito looks down for a while and decides to answer. It was a long time ago. That was the first meeting between me and Naruto after we part ways at the first floor. Over the year ago, I did join a guild just once. The guild was tiny, only 5 members in it. It was called the Moonlit Black Cats. To be honest, I outleveled them by far, so I think that if I told them my actual level was, they wouldn't have want me there. So I decided to hide that fact and joined them. I was jealous of how comfortable they were with each other. But one day, one of the members found the treasure chest and dragged the other members to join him. That appeared to be a trap for greedy players with no knowledge. They're supposed to be dead that day, until Naruto came and saved us. Then I thought what would happen if Naruto didn't appear there. Then they will all died. Because I hide the fact that I was a beta tester and didn't warn them about the trap. Still after that they had accepted me. But every time I looked at them I felt a guilt that went away. That's why I never joined guilds from that day. Asuna just looks at Kirito in pity after hearing his story. Then she decides to come near him and hold his face in her hands. I won't die on you, because I am the one that wants to protect you after all. With that she embraces him in her arms. Kirito just smiles silently in her arms. October 24, 2024 floor. 55 Granzam. Kirito and Asuna is sitting at the table drinking tea. Suddenly, a man with brown hair afro style come in. The man turned to Kirito and say that he and one more person will party up with him to clear the dungeon at the 55th floor. Asuna hearing that begin to protest. But Godfrey retorts. Even if you are the second in command, your friend here has to follow the rules. And if you will be joining us, as the forward commander I will evaluate his skills for myself. Asuna hearing the retorts. Kirito-kun is like million times stronger than you. Kirito just sigh and looks down in his chair. Then we will meet each other at Western Gate in 30 minutes. Said Godfrey turns to leave, pumping his fist up and laughing loudly. Asuna looks down disappointed and sigh. We finally had a chance to be alone. Kirito stands up and pat her head. I won't be gone for long. Wait here. Asuna nod her head and say, okay. Be careful, okay. Kirito nod his head. Time skip outside. When Kirito walked out, he already saw Godfrey waving at him. Godfrey drags a person, hides behind the wall. Kirito looks at the person and recognizes him as Kuradil. When Kirito had came near them, he stopped and asked. What's going on here? From now on, we are part of the same guild. I thought it will be good time to bury the hatchet, said Godfrey. Kuradil approaches Kirito and apologies. I am sorry about what happened. I will never act that way again, so please forgive me. Kuradil says, then bows his head. Kirito sees Kuradil bows down and feels uncomfortable. Sure. Well, that's that. Today I'd like to assess how you react when faced with dangerous situations, so give me your crystals, said Godfrey. Opens his palm. Even teleport crystals? Asked Kirito in surprise. Godfrey just nod his head. Then Kuradil and Kirito give him all their crystals. With that they head to the direction of the dungeon. Floor 55 dungeon entrance. The 3 members of Kobo has been walking for a while. Suddenly, Godfrey stops and turns to Kirito and Kuradil. Okay. Time for a break. Kirito and Kuradil sit down to the stones nearby. Now, I will give you some foods, said Godfrey, and takes the food out from his inventory and throws it to Kirito and Kuradil. Kirito opens his bag, looks in and feels disappointed, as he imagines the sandwich made by Asuna. So he decides to take a bottle of water out and takes a sip. Kuradil just watching silently as Kirito sipping his water. Kirito turns to Kuradil and wonders why he doesn't drink the water. When Kuradil smirked, Kirito widened his eyes and looked in the bottle. He suddenly found himself weakening and threw the bottle away, caused it to crash to the ground. He turned to Godfrey and saw he was in the same condition as him. Then he felt all his body began to numb and realized that he had drank the paralysis poison. Kuradil saw that and began to cackle maniacally. What the hell? Kuradil, weren't you the one that brought the water? Whimpered Godfrey. Lied on the ground, looked up at Kuradil. Use the antidote crystal, whimpered Kirito weakly. Godfrey managed to take out the antidote crystal, but Kuradil jumped to him and kicked the crystal away. Then he insulted Godfrey and unsheathed his sword and raised it up and slashed down at Godfrey. Godfrey felt the strike and yelled in pain. Then he told Kuradil to stop, but Kuradil smirked maliciously and said, "Listen well. Our party was attacked by the party of PK players. Despite fighting with all your might, you were slain. Only I returned alive, having wiped out all the PK players all by myself." With each sentence he slashed down at Godfrey and laughed maniacally. Kirito just looked in horror as Godfrey's life dropped continuously. Kuradil stabbed down at Godfrey's back continuously and laughed out madly. Suddenly, Godfrey widened his eyes and shattered in blue polygon, as his HP dropped to 0. Kirito watched the scene in shock, as this was the first time he witnessed the player killed another one. Then Kuradil turned to Kirito slowly with a mad expression and approached him slowly. Kirito narrowed his eyes and said, "Naruto was right about be careful with you. Why would such a bastard like you join Kobo? You should be in PK Guild." "What an interesting thing to say. You have keen eyesight," said Kuradil and pressed the button to show the tattoo of Laughing Coffin. Kirito immediately widened his seeing the tattoo and recognized it as the crest Laughing Coffin Guild. Then he went near Kirito and about to stab him. But he was forced to jump back to avoid the strike from above by someone. He looked at the person and recognized him as Hitakari Batuse. Naruto glared murderously at Kuradil and turned to Kirito. "Are you alright, Kirito?" Kirito looked surprised at the appearance of Naruto here and just nodded his head. Naruto turned to his back and called out, "Quick! Asuna, give him the antidote and get out of here ASAP. I don't want you to witness what I am about to do." Kirito widened his eyes that Asuna is here too. Asuna immediately rushes to Kirito and uses the antidote crystal on him. Once Kirito can move again, he turns to Naruto and asks, "You will kill Kuradil?" "I am right, Naruto?" Asuna widened her eyes at that and asked, "Why? You shouldn't kill at all." Naruto's eyes turned emotionlessly, then he looked at Asuna. "No, I will not just kill him. I will make him beg for me to kill him by cutting him to pieces." Asuna and Kirito gasped at the look in Naruto's eyes and was about to protest. Kuradil, seeing the Hitakari Batuse in front of him begin to shake like a leaf. His widened in horror. He kneels down to his knees and begin to beg Naruto. Please forgive me this time be Batuse-san." Naruto just looked down at him with his cold eyes like he was some kind of insect. Then he turned to Kirito and Asuna and said, "Why are you two still here? Get out of here immediately. I am very pissed off right now." Asuna looked at Kirito and vice versa. Then Kirara nodded and they begin to leave. After they had left, Naruto unsheathed his kusanagi and pointed down at Kuradil. "You shouldn't have targeted any of my friends, fool. Now you will pay the consequence with your worthless life." With that, Naruto cut down his right arm. Kuradil roared in pain and begged him to stop. "Tell me, where is the rest of your guild?" interrogated Naruto. Looked down at Kuradil. "I don't know, please don't kill me," begged Kuradil with teary eyes for Naruto to spare him. "You begs me to spare you? Will you spare Kirito, if Asuna and I haven't arrived in time, huh?" asked Naruto and slashed down the left arm. Kuradil roared again. "Why did you join the Kobo?" Naruto continued to interrogate Kuradil. To spy on them, and to kill off all the best members," answered Kuradil. "No, without his arms. You are a trash. You killed the person without remorse with glee, but when you are at whim, like right now, you ate begging for your life. Trash like you disgust me, disappear." With that said, Naruto stabbed in his forehead, and Kuradil roared so loud that in the diameter of 3 meters anyone could hear. Then his HP dropped to 0 and he shattered like a glass with a wide eyes but still managed to gasp out, "Monster." Naruto looked at the place where Kuradil was for a while and breathed out heavily and looked at the sky, muttered, "Monster, huh? Maybe it was true. Humans won't kill without hesitating like me." Then he grabbed his head and looked to the ground to mutter, "What have I became? Am I even human anymore?" With Kirito and Asuna. Kirito and Asuna had returned to Asuna's house. When Kirito was about to go to the bed, he suddenly felt Asuna embraced him and cried, "I was so scared. I shouldn't have let you left, Kirito-kun. If not for Naruto's sudden appearance, you may already been dead. Kirito hugged her back and said, I am still alive. Stop crying. Now I am owning my life to Naruto. Asuna trying to calm herself still sniffing her nose. Suddenly, Kirito captured her lips forcefully. Asuna widened her eyes at first but returned the kiss. They kissed each other until the need of air was need and broke the kiss. Asuna's face is a little red. Kirito solemnly declared his emotions for her, how he had come to realize that Asuna meant the world and more to him. Then Kirito requested that he be allowed to sleep with Asuna that night. After finishing the dinner, Asuna nervously turned down the lights and slowly removed her clothing. Kirito was completely and utterly shocked and explained that he simply meant he wanted to stay by her side and not what Asuna was implying. Embarrassed by the situation, Asuna shouted and attacked Kirito, cause him fell out of his chair, though the area effect stopped her. When they cleared the misunderstanding, they went to the bed together. Asuna turned to Kirito and asked, why didn't you stop Naruto from killing Kuradil? Killing is wrong. Kirito closed his eyes and looked at the ceiling. I won't be able to stop him. Naruto was one of the person that treasured friendship than anything else in this world, well except maybe his love for Lisbeth. Kuradil tried to kill me, and in Naruto's eyes, that was unforgivable. He is suffering deep in his heart. But for the sake of the non-PK players he is killing his heart to prevent the worst to happen. Since Naruto had wiped out the decent number of PK players, the normal players that was remain never died even once, as those players not part of the clearing party. Asuna looked down and muttered, but that was still wrong, he could simply sent them all to prison, and not killed them off. Kirito looked at her and said, no, once the PK player had killed he won't stop anymore. Because with that act he found himself overpowering the other player and caused the other player to respect him by fearing him. That's why Naruto killed all of them off. To simply sent to jail will not change the fact that they would still continue to kill. Then Asuna and Kirito closed their eyes and fell asleep. Later at night Kirito has awake earlier than Asuna. He is sitting by her side and looks at her sleeping form. Then he decided to poke her cheek. With that action, Asuna opened her eyes. Kirito asked, sorry, did I wake you? I was having a dream about how I used to be. It's strange. In the dream, I was wondering if everything in Aincrad was real. If everything that had happened with you was only a dream. I was really scared. I am glad it wasn't a dream, said Asuna, then turned to the right and closing her eyes. You are weird, don't you want to go back? Said Kirito looking at Asuna. I do, but I don't want to pretend that the time here had never happened. These 2 years have been so important to me. I've met so many friends in these 2 years. Naruto, Liz, the members of Kobo and of course you. I want the things to always stay this way. Kirito looks out of the window to think for a while then decide to say. Let's go to the village where Naruto and Liz have married. Let's move to there. And I want to marry you, Asuna. Asuna widened her eyes and began to smile softly at Kirito and nod her head. Sure. After Kirito and Asuna had married, they moved to the house near Naruto and Lisbeth's house. Asuna ran out to the balcony and began to breathe in the fresh air and smiled. What a great view, said Asuna smiling brightly and looked at the view. Kirito smiled softly from behind then came near her and said, don't get too close to the edge or you'll fall. Suddenly, they heard a knock at the door. Kirito turned to the door and said, come in. The person walked in and revealed to be Lisbeth with Naruto stood not far behind. Yo, good morning to our new neighbors, said Liz and smirking. Asuna seeing Liz immediately hugs her. Liz, you decide to visit us, said Asuna excited. Then she drags Liz outside to speak to her. Kirito approaches Naruto and asks, hello, Naruto. Where did you go after, you know? Ah, I decided to train a little so I went to the dungeon, answered Naruto. Thank you for borrowing us money to buy this house, said Kirito and bows to Naruto. Naruto just slaps him on the shoulder and says grinningly. It's no problem. We're friends after all. Suddenly, Naruto looked at the sky solemnly and said. Hey, Kirito. If I were to disappear, will anybody miss me? Will anybody remember such a murder like me? Kirito just looked at Naruto strangely. Naruto then shook his head and turned to Kirito and said. It's nothing. Just forget it. I congratulate on your marriage. Yeah, thank you. Outside Lisbeth and Asuna talked for a while, laughed and shared the story with each other. Then Lisbeth began to fall deep in thought. Asuna seeing that decided to ask. What are you thinking about? Liz turns her head to Asuna, then looks ahead and answers. It's Naruto-kun. After yesterday, he began to behave strangely. Like he is preparing to leave somewhere far. Somewhere, that we can't reach him. I scared, Asuna. I know that deep in his heart Naruto-kun is still feeling guilty for killing those PK players. But Naruto-kun is very stubborn, he will never admit it to anyone and just shoulder it alone. I don't know what to do to help him, Asuna. And that's just make me feel more horrible. Asuna just looked at Lisbeth in sympathy, as she couldn't understand Liz's feelings, because she and Kirito were never need to face any burden. I don't know what to say to help you, as I was never in this situation before, but I think you can just support him in any way you can. Naruto loves you, I know that for sure. But he also likes to act like a hero and shoulder all the burdens alone. Naruto had saved Kirito-kun's life. I am forever grateful to him. No matter what the other says about him, me and Kirito-kun will remain as his friends forever. Lisbeth just looked at Asuna, then looked forward thinking. Time skip. Next day. Kirito in Asuna's house. Kirito is still sleeping in his bed. Asuna sitting near him and looks at his sleeping face. After a while, Kirito wakes up and rubs his eyes. Asuna then pester him to go outside and play. Kirito just complained that they had already played the days before. Asuna just puffed her cheeks and said, "Then you don't want to play?" Kirito rubbed his eyes to wash away the sleep, then thought for a while and said, "Oh, I know a place that would be fun." Scene change. On the way to the forest, Kirito and Asuna walked into the forest holding each other hands. Asuna looked at Kirito and asked, "So where are we going?" Kirito just walked ahead leading her and said mysteriously, "You'll find out when we get there." Asuna just looked at him curiously, then she had an idea. "Hey, carry me on your shoulders." Kirito looked her weirdly and asked, "Carry? Aren't you a little old for that?" Asuna just smiled and said, "My ages didn't mean anything. Just carry me, I am tired of watching the same views again." Kirito just sighed, then sat down for her to climb on his shoulder. Asuna raised her skirt a little, then said threateningly, "If you looked behind, I'll slap you." "That doesn't sound fair at all," complained Kirito, then rolled his eyes. When Asuna has sat on his shoulder, Kirito began to stand up and walked forward. In the forest, Kirito still carrying Asuna on his shoulder and began to tell her the rumor that he heard. "Yesterday, I heard the rumor in the village. Deep inside this forest, there is a ghosts. The rumor said that the monsters that were killed in the field have taken the form of ghosts. About a week ago, a woodcrafter came to find wood. He was focusing on gathering the wood as night fell. Then he caught something white beneath the tree." Asuna hearing that felt a shiver down her spine. Suddenly, Asuna looked to the right and saw a white shadow walked ahead. As Kirito still retelling his story, Asuna decided to interrupt him and told him to look at the direction that she pointed out. Then she climbed out of Kirito's shoulder hurriedly and pointed to the direction of the supposed ghost. Asuna decided to hide behind Kirito's back and turned on her scan skill. The scan showed the image of a little girl in white dress standing there. Asuna looked at the girl in fright as the girl slowly turned her head to her direction. Asuna screamed out and sat down holding her head. Suddenly, the girl began to fall down to the ground. Kirito realized she wasn't a ghost and rushed in. Asuna decided to follow him. When Kirito approached her, he saw that there wasn't a cursor, means she wasn't a player. They decided that they couldn't leave her in the forest, so they brought her with them back to their house. Kirito and Asuna's house. Hearing that Kirito and Asuna have found a little girl in the forest, Naruto and Lisbeth decided to check out. Right now they and Kirito with Asuna are watching the girl lying unconscious on the bed. "So you state that this girl isn't a player?" asked Naruto, crosses his hands and looks at the girl. "No, but she isn't NPC neither, as we managed to bring her here," answered Kirito. Naruto thought for a while and then looked to Kirito. If she was not a player and not NPC, then she could only be AI in this game. Everyone looked at Naruto surprised, then Asuna decided to ask, "Why do you think she isn't a player? It could be a bug, and why do you think that she is AI?" "It's simple. The girl her age would never interested in the sword fighting MMO like Sao. She'd rather play some games that resolve in fairy tale or something. Also, we talking about the game that was created by Kayaba Akihiko, there is now he will allowed a bug to happen." Kirito thought about what Naruto just said and found it logically fit. Asuna then looked at the sleeping girl and asked, "She'll wake up right?" "Yeah, she is just sleeping, I think," said Naruto. Embraced Liz to her waist from behind. Morning. Next day, when Asuna woke up to check up on the girl, she saw that the girl has opened her eyes. So she hurriedly shook Kirito to wake him up. Then she turned to the girl and asked, It's such a relief that you have woke up. Do you remember what happened in the forest? The girl just shook her head. Can you at least tell us your name? Do you remember it? Asked Asuna. The girl just looked down and tried to recall her name. Name. My name. Yui. That's my name. Then the door opened to show Naruto and Lisbeth have came in. Naruto looked at the girl and saw that she has woke up. Oh. So you have woke up, huh? Yui just looked at Naruto strangely. Naruto blinked and didn't understand why she stayed at him like that. Asuna looked at Yui and said. Yui-chan, huh? I am Asuna. The person next to me is Kirito. The one that's standing at the door and blinking is Naruto. The girl standing behind him is Lisbeth, but you can call her Liz for short. Asuna introduced the rest of the group to Yui. Yui tried to pronounce each name, but getting all wrong. Then Asuna asked. Yui-chan, what were you doing in the forest? Yui just shook her head and answers. I don't know. I don't know anything. Asuna just looked down sadly. That's awful. Then Kirito came near her and tried to tell her to pronounce his name once again. Maybe that was a little hard for you. Then what would you like to call me? Yui narrowed her brows in thought, then looked at Kirito and said. Papa. Kirito heard that surprised. Emmy. Then Yui turned to Asuna and said. Anna is Mama. Asuna hearing that also surprised a little, then she smiled softly. That's right. I am your mama, Yui-chan. When Naruto and Lisbeth came near the bed, Yui turned to Naruto and said. Nato is uncle. And Liz is auntie. Naruto smiled softly at Yui and rubbed her head, while Liz smiled softly at the scene. That's right. Kirito is your papa, Asuna is your mama. Me and Liz are your uncle and auntie. We will be a family from now on, said Naruto grinning. Yui also closed her eyes and smiled. They spent some time playing and eating with Yui smiling and laughing happily together. Then Naruto stood up and breathing deeply. Lisbeth seeing that decided to ask. Do you have some business, Naruto-kun? Naruto walked out to the door and looked through his shoulder and answered. Yeah, I have some business need to take care. You guys just stay here and spend more time with Yui-chan. Kirito and Asuna. I congratulate you on founding such a cute daughter. Yui-chan. The time we spend with each other may be short, but you make me feel like a real uncle. I am never going to forget these happy days. Never going to forget that I have such wonderful friends. Kirito and Asuna just looked at Naruto strangely. The way Naruto said, it's like he will leave them far behind. Lisbeth just looked at Naruto with worried eyes. Then Yui decided to ask. Will I see you again, uncle? Naruto turned to Yui and grinned foxily. Of course, you will. Why suddenly you ask such a strange question? Yui looked at Naruto and answered. The way you talked. It's like you decided to leave Mama, Papa, Auntie and Yui far behind. Naruto just smiled solemnly and turned to leave. Floor, 74. At night. City Naruto is in a bench near the fountain waiting for someone. After a while, there is a person sit down on a bench next to him. That is Argo the rat, the most powerful information gather. Yo, Naruto. Long time no see. Naruto turned to Argo and greeted him too. Same to you, Argo. So did you find what I need? Yeah, I have found the location of the boss room on this floor. But did you plan to take him on solo? That's suicide, you know. Naruto just smirked and looked at Argo. That will be my last trial to the final battle. Argo just looked at him strangely and said, well, it's your problem now. I just finished my part of the bargain. Now you finished yours. Naruto opened his inventory and gave Argo his Shibian sword. Argo accepted it and looked at it closely to ascertain that it's the real sword. After inspecting, she nodded, then stood up to leave. Before she left, she turned to Naruto and said, don't die just yet, Naruto. You didn't know this, but there are still many people that concerned about you. Naruto raised his thumbs up and said, yeah, I will defeat the boss and return. When Argo had left, Naruto turned his gaze at the moon and see that it was full moon today. It's full moon today. I wonder, will this be the last time that I see it? Next day, floor 75, boss room. Naruto had arrived very early in the morning. He is standing at the huge door of the boss room now. According to the information gathered by Argo, the boss of this floor called the Skull Reaper. And it is one of the most lethal boss of Sao so far. There had been one attempted to clear this floor. But no one even survived from that time. Also, its strike is instant kill if hit to the torso or legs. Not only that, but it had 5 HP bar. Though its speed is impressive, it was nowhere near the level of Kojira. Naruto opened his inventory and wore the necklace with the crystal of Tesseract to his neck. The crystal of Tesseract, that is a crystal that has the ability to turn the strikes into critical in the interval of 5 minutes. Naruto opened the door and went in, but there was nothing there. He began to look around, then stopped moving as he heard a noise above him. He looked up and saw the Skull Reaper has showed its appearance. Its appearance is that of a huge skull centipede, and it has 2 scythe-like arms, which is lethal if hit to the target. It began to look down to Naruto with his 4 red eyes and began to descend to the ground. Naruto unsheathed his Kusanagi, looked at it intently, and began to tap his foot to the ground. When the Skull Reaper decided to charge in, Naruto activated Shukuchi and moved with blurred speed, that crashing the ground behind it, and activate Ryusosen to slash it. It began to roar in pain and quickly turned backwards, but Naruto already jumps in the air. As it prepared to finish Naruto with the scythe arm, Naruto began to spin rapidly and slashed at the same time, activating Ryukansen. Arashi. But still the second side strike still managed to hit Naruto's arm. Naruto gritted his teeth in pain and jumped far back. The Skull Reaper just roared at him and began to charge quickly. It still had 3 bars of HP left. Naruto gripped his arm and glared at the Skull Reaper mercilessly. It's not over yet. If I couldn't defeat this centipede moron, then I won't stand even a slight chance at defeating him, muttered Naruto. Then his eyes began to turn so cold and with such killing intent that the boss backed out a little. Here we go. With that, Naruto activated Shukuchi again and appeared behind it and used Ryumeisen to stun it. Then he used all of his moves with the combination of the crystal of Tesseract. The boss just roared in pain, took in all the strike. Then only 1 bar left. Naruto's body by that time was already going numb. Naruto just looked at his trembled hand and muttered. Is this my limit? If this is all I can do, then the chance to defeat him is practically 0. No, I will break my limit and end this game once and for all. With that said, Naruto's eyes began to burn with determination again. He roared loudly and charged at Skull Reaper. Skull Reaper also roared at him and used its skill to double strike Naruto with its arms. Naruto continued to charge and ducked his head, but the attack still managed to scratch his cheek. Naruto's widened in fury and he roared like an animal and strike the Skull Reaper to its jaw with such force that sent flying to the ceiling. Then Naruto activated Shukuchi and appeared near the boss to stab in its forehead. Then he slashed down from the head to the rest of its body while roaring in fury. The boss bar had dropped to 0. Then Naruto began to fall out from the ceiling and muttered. I've done it. The Skull Reaper was defeated. I will sleep a little, then meet up with him to finish all of this. With that said, Naruto fell asleep from exhaustion. Not noticing some scouting players have opened the door of the boss room and seeing him lying on the ground floor. One town of beginnings. Asuna and Kirito decided to return to the town of beginnings, because he and Asuna just received the message from Heathcliff that they will need to return to the front lines soon. They couldn't take Yui with them as it will be dangerous, and Lisbeth has returned to her work. They walked to the central market for a while. Then they suddenly heard a scream. Give back the children. To find out what is happening here, Asuna and Kirito decided to head to the direction of a scream. When they arrived there, they saw the army was bullying a group of children and a caretaker was demanding for them to return the children back. The assholes from the army was demanding the children to pay taxes. Kirito and Asuna had seen enough and decided to act. They jumped in front of the children and confronted the army. Asuna turned to the children to reassure them that everything will be okay now. The army saw the 2 new people that intervened and decided to teach them a lesson. But Asuna had enough and told Kirito that she will take care of them. Then she approached the arrogant commander and used the linear to blast him to the back. The down commander demanded for the rest of the army to do something. But they just looked away fearfully and ran away like cowards they were. Then Yui on Kirito's back began to mumble. I do not belong here. I was in a dark place. Then she widened her eyes and screamed in blackout on Kirito's back. Kirito and Asuna looked at her with wide eyes. Asuna rushed to Yui's side. The caretaker, seeing that, said they could bring Yui to her place. Caretaker church. There were many children say on the table and eating, laughing and teasing each other. Kirito just looked around in wonder. Then the caretaker said that it was always this lively every day. Then she asked, did that ever happen to her before? Asuna just shook her head and answered. We found her on the 22th floor in the forest, and it seems she had lost her memories. Could we let her stay here for a while? Cause we will return to the front line, and we couldn't leave her alone. Could you take care of her? Yes, you can leave her here until your business is over. I will take good care of her. Then they heard a knock and went to open the door. There was a woman with gray hair stood at the door. "My name is Yulier," said the woman and bowed down. "Aren't you with the army? Are you here to complain about yesterday?" asked Asuna. Looked at her uniform. "Not at all. It's vice versa. Honestly, I want thank you too," replied Yulier. Kirito and Asuna just looked at each other surprised. Yulier then looked at the both of them and said, "I've come with a request for you two today." "A request?" asked Asuna. Then they invited her inside to talk, inside the church. Yulier told them that the army was never like this before. Their leader Thinker was never a greedy tyrant, but because of the faction made by Kibao the army became corrupted. Because Kibao sent all the high-level players to the front line and all of them had died because of his mistake. Thinker decided to dismiss him from the guild. Kibao was scared and trapped, so he decided to trap Thinker. Thinker has been trapped deep in the dungeon, unarmed and without teleport crystal. So she begged them to go to the dungeon, and brought her husband back. She couldn't go there as her level wasn't high enough. Asuna said that they will gladly help her if she could, verifying what she said was the truth. Yui looked at the bowing head of Yulier and said, "She is telling the truth, Mama. I don't know how, but I know she is telling the truth." Then they agreed to help Yulier. Yulier looked up at them then bowed down in grateful. Then Kirito told Yui to stay here. But Yui won't accept that and demand to go with them. Asuna tried to talk her out, but she didn't listen and just grab at Kirito's arm and demand to go. Floor 55. Grandsam. When Naruto woke up, he immediately went to floor 55. Naruto stood at the gate of the castle and told the guard standing there to send a message to the commander that he want to meet him. After a while, the guard received the order to bring him in. Inside now Naruto is standing before Commander Heathcliff. Heathcliff looked at Naruto for a while and said, "I heard that you've managed to defeat the Skull Reaper at floor 75. I want to thank you for that. Thanks to you we've cleared one more dungeon and one step away from clearing this game. Don't I want to join us, Kobo? I appreciate your invitation. But right now I want to speak to you in private. Can we go to the forest to talk?" asked Naruto looking at Heathcliff. Heathcliff looked at Naruto for a while then decided to answer. "Okay. Let's go then," said Heathcliff, stood out of the chair and walked to the door, with Naruto not far behind. Forest. When Naruto and Heathcliff arrived at the place, Heathcliff decided to ask, "So what did you want to talk?" But Naruto interrupted him by unsheathing his kusanagi and stabbed at Heathcliff. But he couldn't as a purple crystal stopped his blade. Then a panel appeared above Heathcliff which said, "Immortal object." Heathcliff looked surprised at the attack then turned to Naruto and said, "So you've noticed after all. But I always think that Kirito will be the one that discovered this earlier. Today, I will end this game of yours. Kayaba Akihiko," said Naruto glared at Kayaba. "Oh, you know I am the last boss which you can only meet in the 100th floor. My strength is on the whole other level than the other boss. You've managed to defeat me before. But that's as a player, as a boss I am 10 times stronger than that. You think that you've managed to defeat that Skull Reaper and you will have a slight chance at defeating me. You are deadly wrong, Naruto-kun. Because you have discovered my identity, I must dispose of you now." Then Kayaba turned himself mortal. But his life bar has added 9 bars more. Naruto looked in shocked and stuttered. "10 bars of life. You see, Naruto-kun. You don't even have a slight chance against me, just die quietly." Naruto roared in rage and rushed forward. Kayaba with the new strength of the last boss just sidestepped him easily and kicked Naruto to the stomach, sent him flying and destroyed 5 trees. Naruto lied on the ground with wide eyes in disbelief at the power and coughed loudly. Kayaba just approached Naruto slowly like a predator stalking a prey. Naruto's whole body shook in fear. Naruto tried to calm himself and activated Shukuchi to appear at the right side of Kayaba. But Kayaba just raised his shield and stabbed Naruto in the stomach with his sword. Naruto was sent flying again. How could this be even possible? There was never a boss like this. I am not even able to injure him at all, muttered Naruto in shock. You see, Naruto-kun, you are no match for me. I don't even need to use skill. Just stop resisting and die quietly, said Kayaba. Looked down at Naruto like he was an ant. Naruto shook his head and glared at Kayaba. Even if I die I will take you with me, for the sake of my friends and over 2,000 of remain players of SAO. I am touched at your feelings. But that's impossible. I am the creator of this world means there is no opponent for me. I admit that you are the best player at this game, but I am the creator of this game, the ruler of this world. You are nothing compared to me now. said Kayaba calmly and looked down at Naruto. Naruto grit his teeth then stand in normal kendo stance. Kayaba cocked his head aside and looked amused. Ho! You decide to use Kuzuryasen now? But that will still be useless. Naruto didn't listen to him and performed the technique. When the 9 strike was about to hit him, Kayaba appeared behind Naruto and stabbed him through his stomach with his sword. It's over, Naruto-kun. You've lost. Farewell now. Naruto widened his eyes at the sword that stabbed through his stomach. Then his body suddenly slowly began to disappear. Kayaba just pulled out his sword from Naruto's stomach and began to walk away. Naruto looked at his nearly disappearing hand and began to think about Kirito, Asuna, Moonlit Black Cat's Guild, Agile, Klein, Yui, Argo, Silica. His hair began to shadow his eyes and he mumbled. Not yet. I will not disappear now. I still have the strength to fight. Then he activated Shukuchi and charged at Kayaba. Kayaba looked behind him surprised. Naruto using Shukuchi began to move in circle at blurred speed. Kayaba just glanced around to keep up with Naruto. Suddenly, Naruto appeared before Kayaba. He drew his sword from the sheath and created a twinkle star. Then he swung the sword at Kayaba with powerful force that tear away his cloak. Kayaba managed to somehow block the strike, but the force of the draw from the sheath is so powerful that it's create the air vacuum and begin to suck him in. At that moment, Naruto spin and prepare the second swing with even more power from the vacuum. Hidden Mitsurugi Ugi. Amakakeru Ryu no Hirameki. Even if you avoid the fang of the flying dragon, the gusting winds will strip away your freedom of movement and the claws would rip you apart, said Naruto, panting heavily topless on his nest. Kayaba's eyes was widened in shock and his body was cut in half diagonally. Kayaba looked at his body and stuttered in shock and disbelief. How can even be possible? You should have disappeared already. Naruto looked at Kayaba seriously and said while panting. My will to protect my friends is far stronger than the fear of dying, that is why I can still remain here. But not for long. You and I will disappear from this world, Kayaba Akihiko. Then Naruto and Kayaba's body began to shatter to blue polygon. The only thing left from Naruto was his Kusanagi blade, that was laid on the ground. The same time, when Naruto fight Kayaba, floor 1. Town of Beginnings, Black Iron Castle. Yulier, Kirito, Asuna and Yui had been walking in the castle for a while to find the entrance to the dungeon. After a while of walking, Yulier stopped at the entrance and said, This is the entrance to dungeon. Kirito and Asuna just looked at the entrance and nodded their head. Then they went in. Some monsters frogs with 4 eyes had appeared, but Kirito and Asuna quickly got rid of them. Time skip dungeon. After fighting and walking for some time, they have managed to find the safe zone. Kirito turns on his scan skill and noticed there is one player ahead. Yulier was too happy to meet her husband again and run forward to Thinker. Thinker tried to warn her that there was a trap, but too late. From the black space the scythe appeared and was about to cut Yulier's head off. But Kirito reacted in time and deflected the scythe. Suddenly, the room began to glow bright blue color. Asuna told Yulier to take Yui with her and took her to the safe zone. Yulier nodded her head and went to the place where Thinker was standing. Kirito and Asuna looked at the boss appearance and felt terrified. It was Fatal Scythe. One of the strongest boss in Sao, even stronger than Skull Reaper. Kirito facing the Fatal Scythe and said to Asuna. Asuna, go to the safe place and use teleport crystal to get out of here. Even don't know what this boss is capable of. He is probably like from floor 90 or above. Quickly, get out of here. Why you come with me too? Replied Asuna. I'll catch up. Hurry, said Kirito and looked behind at Asuna. But Asuna looked the 3-person at the safe zone and said that they use teleport crystal and get Yui out of here. Then she stand in line with Kirito facing the boss. Fatal Scythe eyes glows red and it swung its scrugs caused a powerful wind that blow Asuna and Kirito away easily. And just that swing has caused Asuna and Kirito's HP to drop in half. Just as Fatal Scythe about to finish them both of Yui decided to confront the boss. She was about to act but suddenly the boss began to slowly disappearing then shattered in blue polygon. Then a panel appeared before them. Game cleared, muttered Kirito reading the panel surprised. Then Yui turned to Kirito and Asuna said something that shocked them to their very core. Mama. Papa. Uncle Naruto ID has disappeared, he is no longer in this world. Kirito widened his eyes and fell to his knees and mumbled. That's why he began to talk so strangely that day. He knew the real identity of Commander Heathcliff and planned to confront him alone. Asuna looked at Kirito not understand and asked, "What do you mean Kirito-kun? Who was the commander really?" Kirito turned to Asuna and answered, "Back then when I fought him in a duel, and nearly managed to cut him down, but was stunned for a second. The only one who could do this is the creator of the game." Asuna widened her eyes in realization and stumped. "Why, you mean that Commander Heathcliff is Kayaba Akihiko?" Kirito nodded his head and continued, "Naruto was very keen in observation. That day I believed he has realized this at all. But Naruto didn't want to involve everyone, because he didn't want anybody to die. Cause he knew that as a final boss, Kayaba is ridiculously powerful and didn't want anyone to do an accident. Also Naruto had never forgave himself for killing the PK players. By confronting Kayaba, he knew for sure that he'll die but still did that cause dying is the kind of punishment somewhat to him to clear his sin." Asuna's eyes began to tear up and she covered her mouth. Kirito punched the ground in frustration. Why? Why the heck did he always do things alone? Why did he decide to bear this burden alone silently? He wasn't supposed to die? Yui looked at the ground and said, "Uncle Naruto also saved me in return. If the boss was not disappear back then, I should have acted to protect you both. But doing that will be against the order of Cardinal, means as AI would disappear. But Uncle Naruto saved me by defeating the final boss and cleared the whole game." Asuna embraced Kirito tightly and stuttered, "Why did he have to die, Kirito-kun? Naruto was such a good person. What are we gonna tell Liz?" Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to crumble. The walls began to shake. Kirito, Asuna and Yui immediately teleport to Granzum. Floor 55 Granzum. The panel that said the game was cleared appeared in every floor, every dungeon, every town or city, and the people began to cheer loudly. Kirito and Asuna looked at the people cheering and smiled solemnly. They didn't even know that the man that they fear the most is the one that saved them all, said Kirito looked around. Then Kirito, Asuna and Yui went to the direction of the forest and seeing there is a sword lying on the ground. Kirito immediately recognized it and closed his eyes in grief. The Kusanagi is here. Then it's confirmed all. Naruto was fighting here with Kayaba. And they both died here. They just looked at the sword silently. Then Kirito decided to put the sword in his inventory. After that they decide to return to floor 22 to check up on Liz. Floor 22. Naruto and Liz's house. When Kirito and Asuna went in they saw Liz lied in the bed and cried her eyes out. Asuna immediately rushed to her and hugged her tightly. Liz stuttered. Why he has to die? He promised me that we will become a real couple. He is a liar. Asuna just tried to comfort Liz as much as she can. Kirito walked of the house and looked at the sky muttered. Wherever you are Naruto, I hope you are happy now. Unknown place. Naruto opened his eyes and saw he was standing in the middle of the sky. He looked around and wondered what happened. Weird, I thought I died back then, muttered Naruto scratched the back of his head. Then he walked ahead and looked down below him, seeing Aincrad is falling apart. Quiet of you don't you think? Said a voice behind Naruto. Naruto turned to the voice and saw Kayaba Akihiko standing before him. Kayaba Akihiko, congratulations on clearing the game Naruto-kun, said Kayaba looking at Naruto. Why did you make a death game? Asked Naruto gripping his fist. Why, I don't even remember why now. At first I just wanted to create a world fat surpass the real world. To create a world that what you can't accomplished in reality, you could accomplished here. I thought that everything in this world was worked under my laws here. Now I meet a person that transcend my laws, transcend even death itself. I am very impressed Naruto-kun. What will happen to the remaining players? Asked Naruto narrowed his eyes. They've all logged out. All over 6,000 players have logged out. You are a hero to them, Naruto-kun, said Kayaba checked the data in his menu. Hero. No, a hero never killed in cold blood. A hero never enjoyed killing the others. I am no hero. I just wanted to save my friends from this nightmare. That's all. Naruto then turned to Kayaba and asked. What will happen to me now? I basically died already. As a gift on defeating me, I will transfer you conscious to a different game. In this world, you can't regain your consciousness as you've died, but in other game you will be able to log out. But doing so will cause you to lost all of your memories here. Though I have an idea to save your memories, said Kayaba looking at Naruto. What do you have in mind? Asked Naruto. I want to entrust this to you. I will seal all your memories there. When the time come you will use this and your memories will return back to you, said Kayaba, and present Naruto the glowing seed. Naruto accepted it and looked closely. Kayaba then turned back to leave and waving his hand. I will be leaving now. It was a pleasure meeting you, Naruto-kun. With that he disappeared. Naruto looked at the glowing seed in his hand, then looked at rising sun. What an incredible view. Then the light began to cover all the place and Naruto disappeared with the light. Naruto Uzumaki has cleared Sao and became a hero in the heart of all the players that was trapped in Sao. Even though Sao was cleared, for some reason Asuna and the other 300 players still haven't regained their consciousness. During the past 2 months, Kirito tried his hardest to find whereabouts of Asuna and Naruto. And he managed to found the hospital where both Naruto and Asuna were located. Kirito still shocked at the news that the nerve gear didn't fry Naruto's brain and killed him. He suspected that it has to do with Naruto's devil luck. Also he found out that Naruto was an orphan and his caretaker always traveled the world. So he didn't have much visitor except him and Rika, which is Lisbeth in Sao. After hearing that Naruto was still alive, she was so glad but sad at the same time as Naruto didn't wake up. So Rika visited him every day and hoped that he will wake up soon. Kirigaya's household Kirigaya's Suguha was practicing her kendo as usual. Suddenly, she heard behind her and turned behind in surprise. Oni-chan. Good morning, Sugu, said Kazuto sitting at the floor and greet her. Suguha just sighed and said, if you were gonna watch at least said something. Don't do something like that, it's freaked me out. Sorry, it's just you concentrate too hard, apologized Kazuto. Suguha decided to take a rest and sat down near him. Kazuto raised the kendo sword and felt it was too light. Kazuto drank a bottle of water, then turned to Suguha and asked, hey, do you want to spar? It's been a while after all. Ho, you was absent for 2 years and still challenges me for a spar? You know I am one of best 8 in middle school? When we go at it, you will understand, said Kazuto and stood up, walked to the dojo in the house. Suguha just looked at him strangely. Dojo Suguha and Kazuto kneeling in front of each other, then they bow to each other and stand up. Suguha stands in normal kendo stance, while Kazuto takes a stance from Sao. Suguha just looked at the stance surprised and wondered why he took such a stance, as it was full of holes in defense. Kazuto decided to charge first and strike at Suguha's face. But Suguha managed to deflect it. Suguha charged at Kazuto and began to stab him with the end of her kendo sword. Kazuto jumped back at a certain distance and waited for Suguha to move. Suguha decided to charge with more speed at Kazuto. Suddenly, there was an image of Naruto performed Ryokansen in his mind. When Suguha was about to strike Kazuto, he sidestepped a bit and began to spin. Then he strikes Suguha at the waist. Suguha not expected Kazuto to move like that, widened her eyes and kneeled down. Kazuto seeing that immediately went to her side to check her out. Are you okay, Sugu? It was too strong, right? Suguha looked at Kazuto for a while and shook her head. I am fine, but what was that move, Oni-chan? I've never seen anything like that. Kazuto just looked at the ground and smiled sadly. That was one of my friend's move, though he is in the hospital right now. Suguha just looked at him in sympathy. Kirito then turned to Suguha and said, when he woke up I'd like to see you and him spar, as he was the best in Sao. Ho, then I will also waiting for that day to face the user of that move you use, said Suguha interested at the saying. Then she turned to Kazuto and asked, do you have any plans for today? Kazuto looked at the ground solemnly and answered, I am going to the hospital. Suguha hearing that just turned her eyes away from him. I see, you going to see her, aren't you? Asuna-san, wasn't it? Not just her, I will visit him as well. The person that saved my life twice. My best friend. It's the least I can do for them, said Kazuto, still looked down solemnly. Asuna's hospital room. Kazuto opened the door to Asuna's hospital room and walked in. He moved the curtain away to look at Asuna's unconscious figure that was still wearing the nerve gear. Then she came near her and held her hand. Asuna, muttered Kazuto sadly looking at her. Suddenly, he heard the footsteps, which he turned and saw Asuna's father came in holding flowers. Hello, sir, said Kazuto, turned to Mr. Yuki and bowed. Sorry, I didn't know you were here. Thank you for coming, said Mr. Yuki. I hope it's okay that I am here, asked Kazuto. Please, you can visit whenever you like. I know it's make her happy, Mr. Yuki said while laying flowers next to her bed. Then someone entered the room and Kazuto turned to the person. Sir, said the person that came in. Oh, I didn't think that the two of you have met. This is Sugo. He is our company's director of R&D, Mr. Yuki said. I am Nobuyuki Sugo. It's a pleasure, Sugo introduced himself. I am Kirigeya Kazuto, said, hearing that, widen his eyes in surprise, then shakes the hand of Kazuto. You together with Asuna and Naruto-san are the heroes, it's an honor, said Sugo. I'm sorry we not supposed to talk about what happened in Sao, but he's my partner's son, so he is fine, and I always thought of him as part of my family, Mr. Yuki said. Sugo decided to speak that moment. Speaking of the family, I'd like to make that official as soon as possible, sir, said Sugo, surprising Mr. Yuki. That's sudden. Are you sure that is what you want? I mean, you are still young and have a whole life ahead of you, asked Mr. Yuki, confusing Kazuto. Thank you for your concern, but my heart is set on it. It sounds strange, but even though she's like this age is still beautiful. I'd like to see her in that wedding dress, said Sugo, caused Kazuto's eyes to widen. You have a point, the sooner we prepare ourselves the better. Sorry to cut this conversation short, but I have a meeting to get to, we can talk more about this later. Kazuto, take care, also don't worry about the payment for the hospital for Naruto-san. He is a hero, it's the least I can do for him, said Mr. Yuki and turned to leave. Sugo then walked to Asuna's side and sat on her bed. I heard you and Asuna were lovers in the game, is that true? Said Sugo, looked at Kazuto. Kazuto just nodded his head. That is unfortunate, it's going to make things complicated between you and I, said Sugo, then holds and smells Asuna's hair, cause Kazuto narrows his eyes in anger. In case you are curious, her father and I were discussing her marriage, to me, Sugo says and smiles darkly and licks his lips, caused Kazuto to grip his fist and widen his eyes in anger. No way, you can't do that, said Kazuto angrily. You have a point, it's true that we can't legally marry, but if the Yuki family adopts me, it'll be as if we are on like we are married, Sugo says and touches her cheek. The truth is she always hated me since we were kids, though neither her or my parents know that. If I proposed and she could speak, I am pretty sure she'll decline. So this situation is very favorable for me, Sugo says and proceeds to touch her lips. Stop it, who do you think you are? You can't take advantage of Asuna like that, said Kazuto angrily and grabbed Sugo's hand. Sugo frees his hand from the hold and smiles. Take advantage, oh please, if anything I have the right to her. Perhaps I should explain why. Any idea what happened to Argus, the company that developed Sao? They closed it down since the lawsuits and damages took a toll on it, so the company went into bankruptcy, answered Kazuto. Correct, but the maintenance of Sao servers were given to the other company. The company, where Asuna's father is a CEO, Recto Progress, Sugo said, shocking Kazuto. And I work for the company's full dive technology. In other words, I am the one that keeping Asuna alive. But that's not all. Ever wondered why Naruto-san, after managed to stay alive, still didn't wake up yet? Said Sugo and smiled darkly. Kazuto's eyes widened and he stuttered. Why, you are the reason that he didn't wake up. But why? Naruto is a hero for the survivors of Sao, did he not? Sugo adjusted his glasses and said. That's true, I don't have anything against Naruto-san. But some people have paid me enough to not let him out to the reality. No, go away. I don't want to see you near Asuna ever again, said Sugo and pointing his finger to the door. Kazuto just walked out, feeling helpless at the situation. At night, Naruto's hospital room. Kazuto looked at Naruto's unconscious form sadly. He went near the bed and began to speak. It's been a while since I visit you, Naruto. I am forever grateful for what you did for me and the others. I am helpless now. Some four-eyes freak took advantage of Asuna when she is unconscious, and I couldn't do anything, as that freak is the one that keeping Asuna alive. What will you do in my place, Naruto? You were always the one with strong heart and could face anything. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't want to lose her, Naruto. But that freak is the reason that you still didn't wake up. If only you were still here with me, we could think of something. So how sharing my sadness with you have make me feel better. I'll be going now. With that, Kazuto went to the door and turned to look at Naruto one last time. He sighed and walked out of the room. Kazuto's room. Kazuto just sitting in his bed, cross his hands to cover the face. Suddenly, there is a message appear on his screen. He opened it and looked at the picture. On the picture was an elf that looked exactly like Asuna. Kazuto widened his eyes at that and looked at the sender. Next day, Dicey Cafe. After Kazuto found out the name of the sender, He immediately went there to find out more. Dicey Cafe is a place where Agile currently working. Kazuto went in and said, "Yo, why this place is always so empty? Is only I the one that come here?" "Shut up, it's busy at night," said Agile cleaning the glass. Kazuto sat down then turned to Agile and asked, "What was that picture you sent? It's a bit of a long story." "Ever heard of this?" said Agile and brought out a game then slid it to Kazuto. Kazuto looked at the game. "A game? This is a game for Amosphere, a successor to Nerve Gear," said Agile. "So this is another VR MMO just like SAO?" asked Kazuto. "Alfheim Online? More like Alfheim Online. It means, Land of Fairies," said Agile. "Fairies?" muttered Kazuto and looked at the picture on the game. "In this game you can freely PK as much as you want. Also there is no levels here. The skills are the key there. The more skills you have the more powerful you are. Combat abilities depends on player's athletic ability," explained Agile. "Hardcore," muttered Kazuto. "Like SAO with magic, but no sword skills. It's really popular now," continued Agile crossing his hands. "The reason is because you could fly there." "Fly?" asked Kazuto surprised. "Yeah, it's the Land of Fairies after all?" "So what this have to do with Asuna?" asked Kazuto. Agile brought the picture out and showed it to Kazuto. "So what do you think?" asked Agile. Kazuto looked at the picture and looked at the fairy in the picture intently. "It looks like Asuna. I thought you'd said that, just told me already. Where is this place?" asked Kazuto impatiently. "Inside the game, Alfheim Online. In a place called World Tree. The players all divided in 9 races. And all their target is to reach the top of the World Tree," said Agile point at the map behind the game. "Can't they just flew up there?" asked Kazuto. "It's not that simple. There is a limit how long you can fly. And so 5 players lined up, bigger ones at the bottom and flew up like a rocket." Kazuto thinks for a while and smirk. "Not bad. It's a dumb idea but could worked up. But even then they couldn't reach even the lowest branch of the tree. Though they still managed to take a few pictures. On one of the picture where they took, there was a huge birdcage. And in that birdcage is this," said Agile and point at the fairy on the picture. "But why would Asuna in a place like this?" Kazuto asked himself then noticed the logo of RCT Progress at the back of the game. Then he recalled the meeting with Sugo. If RCT Progress is involved here, there is a chance that Naruto is there as well, said Kazuto looked down in thought. "Naruto, why do you think that?" asked Agile surprised. "Some people have something against Naruto, and paid a huge amount of money just to trap him there," answered Kazuto. "Agile, can I take this?" asked Kazuto. "I don't mind. But are you going there?" asked Agile looking at Kazuto, as he prepared to leave. "I need to see it for myself. A game where you can die is too easy," said Kazuto and smirks. "It work with Nerve Gear as well. Amosphere is just a slight upgrade of Nerve Gear after all," said Agile. "Then it's alright," said Kazuto. "Go save our lonely hero and your princess. Otherwise our fight can't really end," said Agile and raised his fist for Kazuto to bump. "Yeah. We will all gathered here someday," said Kazuto and bumped fist with Agile. Kazuto's room. Kazuto wore the Nerve Gear on his head and switched the device on. Link start. With that his conciseness transferred to the virtual world. Then he appeared in the space, where you began to create your character. After entered his name and gender. 9 races has appeared before him. He looked at each race and decided to choose the Spriggan, as it resembled his past character. With that the system announced that he will be transferred to the Spriggan territory now. Then he was transferred to the middle of the sky and fell down to the Spriggan territory. As he was falling down, unknown to him, there was a black cloth figure in fox mask opened his palm and began to chant the incantation and a black hole appeared under Kirito. Kirito fell down through the black hole and was transported to the forest. Alfheim Ancient Forest, neutral territory. Kirito after being transferred to the forest mystically just lied in the grass and looked at the sky. "I'm back, after everything that happened." Then he jumped up and looked around. "So where am I now?" Then he used his right hand to open menu, but nothing happened. So he decided to use the left hand and a menu appeared. He decided to check if the logout button was really here. After he confirmed that it was there, he sighed in relief. Then he opened his stats and surprised as the stats were the same as in SAO. After that he decided to check his inventory. He searched for a while and found 2 items that did not have the. He presses at one of them and the Kusanagi sword appeared. Kirito held it and sighed in relief. Thanks God it's still here. Then he pressed at the second item and Yui appeared before him. Kirito looked at her in wonder. Then Yui decided to open her eyes. It's me, Yui. Do you remember me? Asked Kirito. Yui looked at him with teary eyes and embraced him. I finally can see you again, Papa. Sometime later. So what is going on here? We aren't inside Sao, but my stats are still the same, asked Kirito while Yui sitting on his lap. Wait a minute, this world is a copy of Sao servers. The engine, programming, and graphics format are identical. Though the version of Cardinal is a little outdated, said Yui and contact the Cardinal. So, that means that RCT Progress take over the technology of Argus and using them now. Though that didn't explain my personal data, said Kirito. Maybe your character from Sao was convert to this game, so aside from unique skills and items, your personal data remain the same, said Yui. How is the system treating you as Yui? Asked Kirito. Let's see, I'm classified as Player Support Artificial Program, a navigation pixie, after saying that Yui began to glow and transform to a mini pixie. Kirito just looked in wonder. Then he looked down sadly and said, there is a chance that your mama and uncle are here. Mama and uncle, why is that? After Naruto cleared the game. For some unknown reason Asuna and 300 players still haven't regained their consciousness yet. Naruto though escaped death but was trapped here by the bad people outside. I heard that there was a person that looked exactly like Asuna and logged on to confirm the fact. So that's what happened, said Yui. I know a place where to find Asuna. With Naruto, I have no ideas. Asuna is in a place called World Tree, said Kirito looking at the huge tree ahead of him. Then he remembered something. Oh, and why I suddenly appeared in this forest. I supposed to land to my home place. I don't know, maybe someone used a transportation magic to transfer you here, answered Yui and thought for a minute. Someone? I don't know anyone here. I wished I landed as near to the World Tree as possible, said Kirito and stood up. Then wings began to appear behind his back. So how do I fly? There is an assist controller. Raise your left hand as if you are grabbing something. Kirito did as he was told. Pull towards yourself to elevate. Push to descent. Left or right to turn, Yui instruct Kirito. Kirito did just that and he began to elevate. Hold tight to accelerate. Release to decelerate. Kirito tried some maneuver movements. Then Kirito asked Yui where is the nearest town. Yui said that the nearest town is the west from here to the Sylph territory. Suddenly, Yui detected something. What's wrong? There are players nearby. In the sky. 2 Sylph was flying at the middle of the sky. One was a female blonde with green hair. The other, far behind, was a male with a bowl haircut and green hair. Wait a minute, Lifa-chan. Whined the male Sylph. Just hang on Rakan, if we can escape to Sylph territory. Said Lifa. Rakan, dodge, warned Lifa, as she saw a blast of fire came from beneath them. Beneath them was 5 salamanders chasing them. Lifa seeing they can't escape decide to engage the enemy. Rakan tried to talk her out, but she didn't listen. Lifa charges forward and strikes at one of them sending him to the ground. Then she flies ahead to slash at the other. But the salamander manages to dodge. Lifa charges again stabs one of them to the stomach. The stabs penetrated his stomach and killed him. One charge at Rakan to kill him. Rakan tried to defend himself as much as he can. Then a blast of fire come from beneath and nearly hit Rakan. Though Rakan manages to dodge, the salamander from before managed to sneak to him and kills him. But Rakan still manages to strike him back, both died. Then the huge blast of fire heads to Lifa. Lifa was about to get hit but, a black hole appeared sucked all the fire into it. Lifa turned to look at the saber that hovering above her. He was an imp, in black cloak with a fur collar. On his face is a fox mask with 3 eyes. Lifa looked on in shocked recognized the person. Fox of Darkness, Yamajutsun. Muttered Lifa in disbelief. I was hired to protect this lady by the higher-up of the Sylph. If you all don't want to end up all dead, I suggest you all get out of here. Said the masked imp. Ha, you are alone now, even if you are the infamous Yamajutsun, you outnumbered now. Said Kajmune arrogantly. Fools, never say that I am outnumbered, said the masked imp and began to chant incantation. Kuman Soaka, Sei, Byaku, Shu, Gen, Hu, Nan, Hoku, San, Gyoku. Kumenju. With that from a symbol that looked like the symbol on his back 9 figures appeared from it. All wearing the fox mask. The salamanders, seeing that, all decide to retreat, as now they were outnumbered. "Thank you for saving me," said Leafa and bowed down. "I am just doing my job. Sakuya-sama has hired me to protect you," said the masked imp. On the ground, Kirito and Yui have just arrived. Then they looked at the sky to see one black figure managed to chase away all the salamanders. Yui looked at the cloaked figure and her eyes began to tear up. "What's wrong, Yui? That person has ID of Uncle Naruto." Kirito widened his eyes and flew up to the said person. "Naruto? Is that you?" asked Kirito. Looked at the person in hope. "Naruto? Excuse me, but my name is Menma. I must be mistaken me with someone else," answered the masked person. Kirito widened his eyes and turned to Yui. "Yui, check his ID once again." Yui performed the check and the result is the same. There is no mistake there. It's Uncle's ID, then why did he deny this fact? Muttered Kirito. Looked at the cloaked person and narrowed his eyes. Kirito and Yui looked at the person, that floating next to them intently. "Do you really not remember anything, Naruto?" "Me, Yui, everything that happened in Sao?" asked Kirito, desperately want to believe that what he is seeing is a lie. "I am sorry, but I repeat once more, that I don't know you and never heard of Sao. As long as I remember, I always exist in this world," answered Menma. Kirito thought for a minute and asked, "Then do you have any memory of the past? Can you recognize this?" asked Kirito, then unsheathed Kusanagi from his back and gave it to Menma. Menma held it in his hand and felt a strange feeling. "I don't know how to explain it, but somehow when I hold this blade I feel myself complete. Like this sword was part of me," muttered Menma. Held the Kusanagi and looked at it in wonder. Kirito looked at Yui and smiled. He may denied the fact that he was Naruto, but he still has connection with Kusanagi. That just proved that the person in front of him is Naruto. Though why did he lost his memories, is the other question. "Ehem," said Leafa, interrupting them, as they completely forgot her presence. They both turned to her and scratched the back of their head, sweat dropping. "Oh, sorry," said Kirito. "I am Leafa," said Leafa. "Sorry, that we have completely forget about you, Leafa-san." "Oh, and my name is Kirito," Kirito introduced himself. "I am Menma, though this world called me the mercenary fox of darkness, Yamajutsun." "Nice to meet you both," said Menma and bowed his head down. Kirito, seeing that, sweat drops and whispers to Yui. Somehow seeing a polite Naruto feels not right at all. Yui nodded her head and whispers back. "Yeah, I am used to the uncle that did something silly and when Auntie tried to punish him, he will ran away screaming. This uncle is just feel not right." Only then Leafa notices a pixie on Kirito's shoulder. "Oh, is that a private pixie?" asked Leafa curiously, looking at Yui. "Yeah, something like that," Kirito answered nervously. "Though why is the Spriggan doing on a place like this?" asked Leafa, looked suspiciously at Kirito. Though the answer came from Menma. "Oh, I guess when I practiced the transportation magic, I accidentally transported Kirito-san here," answered Menma and scratched the back nervously. Kirito, after hearing that, point his finger at Menma. "Ah, so it's you. I am sorry once more. I've just learned those spells and eager to try them out," said Menma. "Whoa, you know the transportation magic. Those spells are very rare and practically no one has obtained it," said Leafa in awe. "His luck is deadly as usual," thought Kirito, rolling his eyes. "Hey, Kirito, Yamajutsun. What do you plan to do now?" asked Leafa, looking at them. "Please, just call me Menma. It's just not right hearing that weird nickname coming from your mouth, Leafa-san," said Menma. Then, "Menma-kun, what are you planning now? Your mission is over, right?" asked Leafa. "I am trying to find a person that will help me find information about this world," said Kirito. "What information do you need? I've traveled around all the places and know a lot of things," said Naruto, turning to Kirito. Kirito, hearing that, widened his eyes. "Really? Then can you tell me about the world tree?" Leafa, hearing that, also proposed an idea. "How about we stop to the nearest village to rest? I want to go to the world tree too. Isn't the town called Sylvain closer?" asked Kirito. "You don't know anything, do you? That's the Sylph's territory, which means that they can attack you and you can't attack them, as you are on their territory," explained Leafa. "It's okay, Leafa-san. They won't just attack us suddenly like that, plus Sakuya-sama said I am always welcome there," said Menma. "Just call me Leafa. That honorific didn't feel right coming from your mouth," said Leafa, then widened her eyes at what she just said. "Why is that?" Menma asked, and if he did not wearing the mask he would be seen blinking. Nothing. Let's just go, said Leafa hurriedly and activated her wings. I just met him and he was already had this girl crushed on him. Oh, what will Rika thought, if she saw this? Thought Kirito and activate his wings. Then Kirito noticed something. Both Leafa and Menma didn't use the assist controller. You two didn't need assist controller. That's for newbie, when they first learn to fly, said Menma and begin to hovering. There is a trick on flying on your own, Leafa said and touched Kirito's back. Could you feel where I am touching you? Kirito nodded his head. Now imagine virtual bones and muscles spreading. Kirito did as he was told. His wings began to tremble and waving. Just do it with more force, Kirito-san, said Menma crossing his hands and looks at Kirito's progress. Finally, Kirito manages to flew up but he can't control the trajectory, so he began to spin in the middle of the sky. Yui and Leafa laughing hilariously. Menma just looked on in amusement. In the sky, on the way to Sylvain, Kirito is finally able to fly properly. Now he is enjoying the flight by doing salto and fly in different direction. This is great. It is, isn't it? You have really good instinct, said Leafa praising him. Menma hovering in the sky and is in deep thought. Then he clicked his fingers caught the intention of Kirito, Leafa and Yui. As Kirito-san could already fly properly, I proposed a race. What do you think? A race? I won't mind that, said Kirito smirking. Well, I will agree on one condition, said Leafa looking at the masked imp. What is the condition? Asked Menma. If I win the race, I want to see your face behind that mask, said Leafa pointing at his mask. Naruto grabbed his mask and answered. Okay, though you weren't the only one that tried to find out what is behind the mask. The others had tried and all failed. With that they flew in line and prepared to take off. 3, 2, 1. Here we go, said Leafa and propel forward like a bullet. Kirito seeing that also begin to accelerate. Naruto just hovering at the place and looks at the two leaving figure. Leafa is flying with great speed, she smiled confidently and turned back. But she was surprised as she saw Kirito already keep up with her. Is this the fastest we can go? Asked Kirito mockingly. Where is Menma-kun though? Asked Leafa and looked far behind. Just that a gust of wind from behind rushes past them like a rocket. Leafa just widened her eyes. Kirito sweat dropping nervously. As usual his speed is bordering insane level. What's wrong Leafa? Kirito-san. Shocked, speechless, asked Menma brought a victory sign up. How can you fly at such speed? It's just practically not possible, said Leafa still not recover from her shock. Sakuya-sama has given me the title of the fastest fairy in the world. You can't expect to win against me, Leafa, said Menma and raised his head up. Who? I won't be so sure I am not even fly at my top speed, said Leafa looking away. Me neither. That was 40% of my speed, said Menma and fly to Leafa with his back turn ahead. What the heck is this guy? Speed demon, to be able to keep up from such distance with only 40% of the speed. You never cease to amaze me Naruto, thought Kirito sweat dropping. Sylph's territory, Sylvain. After a while of flight, they finally arrived at Sylvain. Suddenly, Leafa remembered something and asked Kirito. Kirito, do you know how to land? Kirito widened his eyes and said. Oh, no, I don't. Oops, well you are on your own now, said Leafa and fly to the right. You've got to be kidding me, yelled Kirito. Just as he was about to crash to a building a black hole appear and transport him to the road beneath. Kirito wipes away the sweat then looks up at Menma. Thank you, Menma, you are a lifesaver. No problem, Kirito-san, said Menma and land to the ground. Suddenly, he was surrounded by many sylphs on the street. Menma just cocked his head in surprise and asked. Am I not welcome here? Yamajitsun, by the new rule of Sakuya-sama, whoever managed to take off your mask will receive a kiss from her. So just take off your mask before we applied force, said one of the sylphs. Menma sweat dropping at that. Gentlemen. Excuse me, but I can't do that. Get him. With that they begin to chase Menma. Leafa just sweat dropped at what she seeing. I didn't know she was that desperate. That's Sakuya really. Nay, Leafa, why did you and the others want to see Menma's face so much? Asked Kirito looking at the chasing crowd. It's just that since the day Menma-kun appeared no one ever seeing his face before. Even when eating he just casts a dark dome on his head to hide his face. That's why Sakuya and everybody else are curious about his face. They think that it's just one of the mystery. Like how to reach the top of the world tree, that they must discover no matter what, explained Lifa, watching the crowd continue to chase Menma. When one sylph was about to catch him, Menma casts his transportation magic and transports to the building near them. The sylph missed his target, began howl in anger. Then the crowd follows him to the other direction to find their prey. Menma decided to jump down from the building and wiped his sweat away. Whew, that was close. I didn't know that my face will interested the public so much. But to think that Sakuya-sama did something like this, muttered Menma. It's tough to be popular, huh, Mr. Fox of Darkness? Teased Kirito. Then he remembered the magic Naruto used. Based on the magic you used, you are pretty proficient in dark magic, right? So what did I specialized in? Asked Kirito. Well, you are Spriggan. Your specialty is treasure hunting and illusion magic. Though both of them are useless in battle, said Lifa. Hearing that makes me feel so much better, said Kirito sarcastically. Suddenly, that heard a voice from behind them. Lifa-chan, you are okay, yelled Rakan, running to them. Ah, it's you, Rakan, said Lifa. Rakan looked up from his panting at Kirito and Naruto and stand if guard. A Spriggan and an imp. It's okay. They are with me, said Lifa, waving her hand to dismiss him. Then Rakan looked closely at Menma and his eyes widen. The Yamajutsu. He was interrupt, as Naruto covers his hand and makes a, be silent, sign with his finger. I'd rather not want to run from the mob again, Rakan-san. This is Rakan. My friend, Lifa introduced her friend. I am Kirito, said Kirito and brought his hand for Rakan to shake. Rakan shook his hand. Nice to meet you. Then he jerked out and stand on guard. No. He may be a spy, it's fine. He is too dim to be a spy, said Lifa. That's mean, said Kirito. Then Rakan told her that Sigurd and the others had prepared a seat for her in the meeting. Lifa think for a while then decline. I'll pass today. Menma-kun saved me and I want to repay him with a drink in the cafe. With that they went ahead. Menma decided to use illusion magic and became one with Kirito's shadow to avoid attention. In the cafe, people didn't pay attention to him in cafe. So Menma dismissed his magic and appeared near Kirito. You actually know many kind of magic. I am impressed, said Kirito. That's nothing much. Lifa, was that your boyfriend? Asked Menma. Lifa blushed a little then answered. And no, it's nothing like that. It's just that I know him in real life so we party up. I am curious, so I decide to ask. No need to work up like that, Lifa, said Menma. Who said I am work up against something like that? Just stop asking stupid questions. It's irritate me, said Lifa and turned away to hide her blush that's still there. Kirito looked at the scene and turned to Yui to whispered. We definitely going to tell Rika this. After he regained the memory. Yui just nod in agreement. Then Kirito turned to Menma seriously and said. Now, please tell me everything you know about the world tree. First, I want to ask. What do you want to accomplish by going there? I am looking for someone. Someone dear for me, answered Kirito. Not many people know this, but the story about meeting the King Oberon then evolves into the Alps is all bullshit, said Menma crossing his hand. Why do you say that? Did you actually met up with the king? Asked Lifa. Yeah, I managed to pass the dome with guardians by using a forbidden summon. But the king apparently knew something like that would happen and used a transfer magic to kick me out. Which means he hid something and didn't want the others to know, said Menma. Kirito then narrowed his eyes and thought the possibility of Asuna being there. Can you take me there, Menma? I need to go there as soon as possible, said Kirito stood up and looking at Menma. Okay, but it's late already. I will take you there tomorrow. But as a payment I want that sword, said Menma pointing at the kusanagi behind Kirito's back. Kirito nods his head and gives Menma the sword. Wait, I want to go there too. The more the merrier, there will be strong monsters there and no one from you guys knew the healing magic. I'll go with you guys to support, said Lifa. Are you sure? It will be dangerous, Lifa, said Menma looking at her. I've already made up my mind, said Lifa stubbornly. Fine. By the way, Lifa, said Menma and come near Lifa. Yes? From all the female sylphs that I had seen, you and Sakuya-sama are the most beautiful so far, said Menma and looked closely at Lifa. Lifa's face light up like a tomato and she stumpers. What the heck are you talking? You mask pervert. saying something like that and not even stuttered. I'm logging out. See you guys tomorrow. With that Leafa logged out. Menma turned to Kirito and asked. Did I say something wrong? I just complimented her. Was that wrong? Kirito just facepalmed and said. You know, you really are. Then I'll meet you here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Kirito-san, said Menma about to walk out of the cafe. Wait, can't you log out? Asked Kirito. No, I don't have that button. I will just went to the tree to sleep now, said Menma and walked out of the cafe. He can't log out. The same as Sao. No, not really. You can still be revived here, thought Kirito and went upstairs to sleep. Suguha's room. Suguha had just logged out from the game. She opened her eyes, then remembered Menma's words and her face began to heat up. She began to scream out and tumble from right to left. Why the heck did he say something like that? When she has calmed down she hugged the pillow and recalled his name. Menma-kun. Huh, what a weird person. At first I thought he is some kind of arrogant tem, because of his title. Now, I see he is nothing like that. Though why did he wear a mask? I'd also like to see what is under that mask someday. With that Suguha falls into sleep. The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.